subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Explained with a stiff upper lip. I've said that I only know Chinese characters, but these formulas have exceeded the scope of Chinese characters. If you really want me to translate, maybe you can let me learn some scientific knowledge, then translate it later. After a heavy breath, Doflamingo said helplessly, "In that case, you can translate the content with Chinese characters. As for sending Rebecca to learn scientific knowledge, don't be funny. The help of scientists is much greater than that of a translator. There is no way. There are fewer people who can write Chinese characters in the scene now than those who have the ability of Logia Devil Fruit. It is a blessing that Rebecca can come to him on her own initiative. He dare not ask for too much." Doflamingo even thought for a while whether this was the spirit of his mother appearing in heaven. Alas, it still failed. The curse of devil fruit is rooted in the soul and the body. Even if I pull out the curse on the body, the curse on the soul is still inevitable. In fact, it is true. The sun disc plan I thought of in Alabasta before is probably the best way to obtain the devil fruit ability without side effects. But I am not willing to give up. I have been in this world for decades. With my divine talent, I can do whatever I want, but this time I failed. How can I fail? This is too unfair to my divine talent, right? I'm still so bad, even after cheating. What if I am despised by other seniors who traveled through time? Fail. Hearing this, Doflamingo was a little frustrated, but it made sense. After all, devil fruit has existed since ancient times. For so many years, no demon fruit power can be cursed by the sea. Master, Alabasta Sun Disc, seems to allow people to gain devil fruit abilities without side effects. Toripole reminded beside him. Diamanti looked at Dov 30 with a burning gaze, and then asked impatiently, "Send someone to Alabasta to find the sun disc?" That, Rebecca interrupted cautiously. Doflamingo asked with a gloomy face, "What do you want to say? I think Alabasta may not have a sun disc. After all, Alabasta was almost stolen by another Shichibukai before." Rebecca said carefully. Everyone was speechless after hearing this, but they all felt that what Rebecca said was right. If there was a sun disc, Alabasta would not be in such a mess. Diamanti said unwillingly, "Maybe it was because of some accident that the sun disc disappeared in history. I think we should go and find it after all. After all, that is the perfect devil fruit ability. Not cursed by the sea. You can swim freely in the sea, and you don't have to be imprisoned by the heart of the sea. More importantly, if there are really no side effects, it means that you can eat unlimited devil fruits without side effects." In fact, Doflamingo was also tempted, but the problem is that it is so difficult to go to another country to find a sun disc that has long been lost in history. For example, Skull Island, if they're not lucky, they may not find it in this lifetime. But the sun disc must be in Alabasta, which should be easier to find than Skull Island. Doflamingo convinced himself unwillingly. After thinking for a while, Doflamingo decided, "Leave this matter to you and Toripole. Let our people sneak into Alabasta and look for the sun disc at all costs. God's talent? You can definitely do whatever you want." This time traveler is really arrogant. Doflamingo sneered unconvinced. As an equally arrogant person, Doflamingo hates the confidence of time travelers. He, a descendant of God, does not have this kind of confidence. Why do you, a time traveler, have this confidence? But when he thought of the feat accomplished by the time traveler, Doflamingo could only feel unwilling in his heart, and he didn't even dare to show this unwillingness. Doflamingo urged again, "Continue translating." Rebecca nodded and continued to translate. "I thought of a method that is particularly suitable for me. Because I am a time traveler, my soul is naturally stronger than others and even has a bit of the meaning of dual souls in one body. Although the negative soul has no consciousness and is like a puppet, can I learn from the saints in the prehistoric world to entrust the 10 slave souls to the end of the world, then become a kind of heavenly saint? The cursed soul has left the body. Does that also mean that the side effects of the devil fruit will go with it? No matter what, let's study in this direction first." What a mess! Why can't I understand it? Are you sure you didn't translate it wrong? Doflamingo questioned. Rebecca shook her head and denied. No, these Chinese characters mean this. I have tried my best to translate, and I guarantee that there is no mistake. Then you continue to translate. I just want to know the result. The depressed Doflamingo nodded. Rebecca quickly picked up the notebook and continued to translate. Success. With my divine talent, I created this soul practice called Heavenly Tao Possession Dafa. Although there is no heavenly Tao in this world, there is also a budding world will. I unraveled my soul and attached it to the world will. What I lack now is time. As long as there is enough time, I can control the world will with my soul and become the real master of this world. But this will also be a long time. Now my soul can only attach to the world will like a parasite and use the world will to suppress the devil fruit curse on my body. Success! Doflamingo's face changed drastically. He didn't understand what the time traveler was saying. What world will? What soul division? These were words he had never heard of. What he cared about was that the time traveler really succeeded and solve his own curse. Since the birth of mankind, the curse of a sea that no one has been able to resolve was actually solved 200 years ago. Rebecca, did the owner of the diary record the so-called heavenly Tao body seizing method in the diary? Doflamingo asked excitedly with red eyes. Rebecca shook her head. No, there's only one name on it. Really? Doflamingo stared at Rebecca sharply, obviously not believing Rebecca's words. You have to think about it before you say it. After all, your country and family are still in my hands. I'm not a good person. Doflamingo warned in a grim tone. Rebecca explained in panic. Really not. Such an important thing. How could it be recorded in the diary? And this seems to be a work log. At this time, Violet, who had returned with baby 5, arrived at the door. After hearing this, Violet hurriedly assured loudly in a very serious tone. Lord Doflamingo, Rebecca did not lie. I swear on the staring fruit and my family. Doflamingo did not speak after hearing this, but squinted his eyes and asked, Have you found the development guide of the weapon fruit of that time traveler? Violet said, I found it, but it is written in Chinese characters. Violet was very relieved. Fortunately, the development of the weapon fruit can only be recorded in Chinese characters. Otherwise, Rebecca, it would be really dangerous later. Now Rebecca, the translator, is more valuable. After all, the Don Quixote family still needs Rebecca. Rebecca, come quickly and help me translate the content above. Baby urged excitedly. Hearing this, Doflamingo's face darkened, and then he said impatiently, Let's talk about your business later. Translate the document above first. Baby 5 curled his lips after hearing this, but Baby 5 did not refute it, because it was useless to refute it. After all, the initiative was in Doflamingo's hands. Seeing that Doflamingo temporarily let her go, Rebecca continued to translate with a sense of relief in her heart. This technique is a bit difficult to practice, and you have to do 2 things at the same time. It seems that I have to avoid conflicts with others in the next period of time. But it's good this way. It's just right to continue planning during this period. The behemoth world government cannot be overthrown in a short time. After all, how can their 800 years of hard work not be compared with your decades of struggle? Hearing this, Doflamingo sneered. It seems that this time traveler has some self-knowledge. Doflamingo is more confident that the time traveler can overthrow the world government. A powerful hunter is not scary. What is scary is that this time traveler has enough patience. The world government, a bird of prey, will definitely not escape the fate of being hunted in the face of this patient hunter who traveled through time. But did the so-called heavenly Tao body seizing method actually stay behind by the time traveler? Or is it that only the time traveler can do that thing? Doflamingo's eyes flickered. This is a way to eliminate the curse of devil fruit ability. This thing would be tempting for anyone, not to mention him, a fruit ability user, time traveler. You must still be alive now, right? Hiding in a corner, staring at the world government like Lion Majesty, ready to give it a fatal blow at any time. Doflamingo muttered to himself with expectation in his tone. Doflamingo didn't want to rob it. I wanted to trade it through some method. just as the time traveler said. Why can't the layout of others for 300 years be compared with your efforts for decades? Although Doflamingo is arrogant, he is definitely not a brainless idiot. Dressrosa seems to have no value to stay any longer. After all, the myths that should be spread have been spread. The Dressrosa royal family has no intention of cooperating. But speaking of Dressrosa, I suddenly remembered the Tontata kingdom, the kingdom composed of dwarfs. This peculiar race seems to be worth observing. It's decided. Let's go to the Tontata kingdom tomorrow and put an end to Dressrosa. After Rebecca finished speaking, she looked at Doflamingo expectantly. Doflamingo, no more? No more. Rebecca nodded affirmatively. Doflamingo asked, is there no treasure left on it? Rebecca shook her head again and said, no, but the weapon fruit development guide should also be regarded as a treasure left by the time traveler, right? Doflamingo asked with a dark face. I'm talking about other things, such as titans or imperial weapons. Rebecca looked at Doflamingo with a confused look, as if she didn't know what you were talking about. Doflamingo also remembered that the time travelers of this time period may not have studied titans and imperial equipment, so there would be no such things in his log. And the treasures left by the time travelers during this time period naturally did not include titans and imperial equipment. Thinking of this, Doflamingo suddenly felt bored. Rebecca looked at Doflamingo expectantly and said, I have finished translating. Can you fulfill your promise? Hearing this, Doflamingo was stunned for a moment, as if he had heard something very funny, and laughed wildly. Ah, did Violet hear that? She asked me to leave Dressrosa. Do you think so too? Violet shook her head expressionlessly. We are the sinners of this country, and only you, my lord, are suitable to rule this country. Violet certainly knew what kind of person Doflamingo was. If she dared to be as naive as Rebecca, it would be their old father who would suffer. Rebecca realized that she had been fooled and was furious. Rebecca cried, Why, you promised me. I promised you to leave Dressrosa, but I didn't say when I would leave. I decided to consider whether to leave Dressrosa in 10 years. Doflamingo looked at Rebecca with despair in a joking manner. Doflamingo, who turned his face against her, ordered coldly, Toribal, take this woman down to have a good look. Don't let her die. We may need this woman to translate Chinese characters in the future. After that, Doflamingo threatened again. Rebecca, don't think about committing suicide. You should know that your grandfather and your aunt are all here. If you dare to die, I promise to send them down to accompany you. Doflamingo, you damned villain. You don't keep your word. You Rebecca cursed loudly and excitedly. As Rebecca's curses faded away, the smile on Doflamingo's face gradually faded. With a blank expression, Doflamingo looked at Violet coldly and threatened. Persuade your niece to work for me well, and I will treat your family well. Otherwise, Doflamingo didn't say the rest of the words, but Violet shuddered, and Violet quickly promised, Yes, I will persuade Rebecca well. After Violet made the promise, she hurriedly chased after her, obviously to do some ideological work on Rebecca. Diamanti, keep an eye on these two women, especially Rebecca, whose Chinese character translation ability is very important to our family. Doflamingo reminded again. Diamanti. Yes, Doflamingo ordered again. There must be more Chinese characters on Greenbit Island. Keep sending people to find them. If you find them, take them away, at any cost. The time traveler had said in the log that his next stop was the Tontata kingdom. According to the time traveler's living habits, the other party must have left some logs there. Chapter 73. What does Marimara fruit have to do with my fire fruit? Sky Island. Sky Country, Sky City. After finishing the sit-ups, Luffy opened his eyes in confusion. Nami looked at Luffy excitedly and said, Great, Luffy, you're okay? The first thing Luffy asked after waking up was, I should have one, right? Robin said with emotion. I won. They have promised to let me go to the history essay contest. Thank you, Captain. Hearing this, Luffy showed his signature smirk. Great, I want to eat now. Of course. I've prepared it for you a long time ago. Sang, who was holding a cigarette next to him, smiled and pushed a lot of food in. Great! Luffy excitedly grabbed the meat leg on the dining cart and gobbled it up. Chopper next to him said with envy, Luffy's body is great, such a serious injury, but he recovered so quickly. In less than a day, or even a morning, although Luffy was treated by Konis with a devil fruit ability before. Even though Luffy's injuries had mostly recovered, a normal person would have to rest for at least half a year for such injuries. But Luffy recovered in just half a day. On the roof not far away, a woman of the Angel clan with long golden hair looked at the scene in the house and sighed softly. It's worthy of that person's bloodline. This recovery ability is really terrible. Angel Yen. The Angel clan on Sky Island always thought that Angel Yen was an orphan. Only Angel Yen herself knew that she was actually a product of technology. It was an artificial angel created by Wu Ming with the bloodline factors of the Angel clan and the Lunaria clan, supplemented by the bloodline factors of the Thunderfruit ability. It is also the leader of the Angel Corps, created by Wu Ming. Yen, who was born as a biological weapon, is no different from a normal person and has no defects. If there's a racial ranking in the pirate world, then her Angel clan is definitely the well-deserved first. Of course, this does not include other races created by Gwoli. Konis next to Yin asked puzzledly, Your Majesty, you seem to care about the guy in the straw hat. Yin was originally in seclusion. Konis thought that Yin would not be able to come out before the Straw Hat crew left, but Yin actually interrupted his seclusion just to come out and see. Luffy glanced at him. The world is about to end. He said he would take me to see the sea of stars. I don't know where he is now. Yin thought as he stared at the direction where Luffy was. As the grandson of that person, Luffy has nothing in common with that person except that his skin is a bit similar. After looking for a while, Yin said, Let's go. After Yin finished speaking, he flapped his wings and left the roof. And Luffy, whose belly was bulging like 10 babies after a big meal, said contentedly, Life is complete. Nami urged from his side. Hurry up and digest it. We're going to read the history text next. Don't worry, I'll take a rest. Luffy patted his belly and said. After resting for more than an hour, Luffy finally got up from the ground and put on the straw hat on his back. Luffy announced, Let's go. As soon as the straw hat walked to the door, he saw Enel, who had been waiting for them there. Let's go. I'll take you to the treasure house. Enel said. The group followed Enel, and after going through many levels, they came to a huge underground secret room. Before entering the treasury, Enel warned them earnestly, Don't touch the things inside. You can take 3 things away from here. Remember, you can only take 3 things away. As for the historical text, you can make a copy or translate it on the spot, but you can't take it away, and you probably can't take it away either. Then, Luffy and the others nodded seriously. Click, click, click. The door of the treasury slowly opened with a harsh metal friction sound. This treasury is not big, only about 200 square meters, but the things in this treasury made the pupils of the Straw Hat crew shrink. The most common thing in the treasury is devil fruit, all kinds of weird devil fruit. It is estimated that there are at least 20 devil fruits in this treasury. So many devil fruits. Conservatively, it should be 2 billion, right? Nami's eyes turned into money. Chopper, I have never seen so many devil fruits in my life. Shanai, I'm different. The combined abilities of the devil fruits I have seen in my life are not as many as the devil fruits in front of me. Chopper, me too. Humph, can you, the golden bun from King High, not use money to measure the treasures here? Every devil fruit here is very precious, not the junk devil fruit that is circulated outside. For example, the one in front of you is the legendary mythical beast titan species Mothra devil fruit, a fruit of God without side effects. For example, the red devil fruit next to you is the Logia fruit. As if she had caught Enel's handle, Nami excitedly retorted, Liar, didn't Luffy's brother eat the Maramara fruit? Enel, what does the Maramara fruit have to do with the Fire fruit? The Maramara fruit is a lower level fruit of the Lava fruit, but the Fire fruit is not. Enel said, looking at the devil fruit in front of him that looks a bit like a red heart. Sanji complained, Why do I feel that this devil fruit is not very serious? Enel explained awkwardly, Ahem, This is an artificial devil fruit made by our saint. Artificial devil fruit. Robin suddenly realized, but he didn't find it strange. If other people made devil fruit, they would definitely be surprised. But if it was Wu Ming, it would be normal. After all, he was the peerless god who had researched and eliminated the devil fruit curse 270 years ago. What is this sword? At this time, Zoro was attracted by two strange swords. That is the imperial weapon, known as the one-hit kill Murasame. Even if the special nature of this sword is not counted, its quality is equivalent to what you King High people call the Supreme Sword. This is also a special weapon created by the Saint, but we have 3 pieces in our Sky Island collection, 2 of which are the 2 swords in front of you, and the other is the wings behind me. Enel boasted proudly. After showing off, Enel looked at Zoro thoughtfully. Enel said seriously, "This sword is a bit unsuitable for you, because this sword cannot be held in your mouth." Thinking Enel was questioning his 3-sword style, Zoro asked, "Why?" "Because if you're cut by this demon sword, you will be infected with cursed poison from the wound and die quickly. There is no antidote. 1 cut will kill, and a scratch will kill you. There is no cure. It is specially made for killing people, but it also has weaknesses. You must be careful when holding in your hand. If you cut your fingers, you will die instantly. If you can't cut the opponent directly in battle, the spell will not work, and it will not work on corpse dolls." Enel explained to everyone. After all, Straw Hat Crew may be his future partners, and Enel is happy to improve their favor at this time. Hearing this, Zoro frowned, and then said with disgust, "Such a despicable weapon? This is not suitable for my sword. As an upright swordsman, he should reach the top with invincible swordsmanship, instead of being mean to poison the sword, which is a disgrace to the identity of a swordsman." Zoro looked at the other sword and asked, "What about the other sword?" "The March of the Dead 8 rooms. You can control the people killed by this sword through curses and can control up to 8 corpse puppets. The puppets look the same as when they were alive and can be controlled freely. After the ability is removed, they will become ordinary corpses. The weakness is that the more corpses are controlled during the activation of 8 rooms, the lower the ability of the main body will be." Zoro frowned oppressively and then complained with disdain, "What an evil weapon! This sword is not suitable for me." Enel didn't say much after listening. After all, people who play with swords usually have some problems with their brains. Enel asked, "Then take a look at the devil fruit." Shanyi looked at the fire fruit with interest and said, "I'm a little interested in this fire fruit. After all, as a cook, fire is what I deal with most often." Nami shook her head and said, "Forget it. I'm a navigator, and I can't be a landlubber. I won't waste devil fruit either. After all, I'm going to be the king of snipers. How can I take advantage of devil fruit?" Usopp also refused. Zoro also shook his head and refused. "I'm not interested either. I'm a swordsman." Sang directly picked up the fire fruit on the counter and said bluntly, "Okay, then I'll take the fire fruit first." Enel nodded and then led everyone to some notebooks. Enel explained casually, "This is a notebook left by the saint. It may contain some valuable things, or it may contain some worthless things." Enel didn't think Luffy and the others would be interested in these notebooks, so he didn't explain too much. At this time, Robin suddenly stopped in front of a counter. Robin picked up the newest notebook among all the notebooks and asked, "Can I take this notebook away?" Nami asked curiously, "Robin, what did you find?" After all, Robin has always given people a sense of reliability. Now Robin suddenly asked for this thing. There must be a reason. This notebook may be related to the captain, because it seems to have the captain's name on it. Look at the words on the cover, which translates to Monkey D. Luffy. Hearing that this notebook may be related to him, Luffy made a decision directly. Then take this one too. The last thing, after thinking for a while, Luffy said to Robin, "Robin, you choose another notebook. Anyway, we don't need the other things." Isn't this too wasteful?" Nami objected with some heartache. Luffy, who knew who Nami was, suddenly had a witty moment. Luffy seriously tempted. What if there's a treasure map in the notebook, just like the devil fruit that Vivi ate? Hearing this, Nami's heart was moved. Chapter 74, Underworld. The boundary between life and death is blurred. In this way, Nami, who is usually the most astute, let Robin choose another notebook under Luffy's trickery. The group found the historical text at the end of the secret room again, and Robin couldn't wait to take the notebook and start translating. After Robin translated the historical text and recorded it, Nami couldn't wait to ask, "How is it? What does this historical text say?" The reason why Nami was so active was that she expected that the historical text recorded a treasure map. It records the location of Poseidon, which seems to be in the mermaid country under the sea, Robin explained casually. Hearing this, everyone instantly lost interest in the content of the historical text. Looking at the side reactions of the Straw Hat crew, Robin sighed helplessly. What idiots are these? You should know that I just talked about Poseidon. Poseidon, one of the 3 legendary ancient weapons. Any pirate with a little ambition and dream will be eager to ask where Poseidon is after hearing this news, and even start planning how to take Poseidon for themselves. What happened to these people? Luffy, as the captain, aims to become the pirate king, and his mind is full of feasts, not to mention Nami, who is just a money grubber. As for Sanji, what ambitions can you expect from a person with a head full of yellow garbage? Not to mention Zoro, his brain is a little problematic when playing with swords, and as for the remaining Usopp, he is just a coward who only wants to become the king of snipers. Poseidon is not a sniper rifle, so he is naturally not interested. As for the last Chopper, Robin glanced at Chopper and chose to remain silent. It's just a reindeer. Why do you ask so much? Enel urged impatiently. Since you have already chosen the things, let's go. Everyone left the secret room reluctantly. Well, mainly because they couldn't bear to leave those devil fruits. When they returned to their own residence, Luffy couldn't wait to urge, Robin-chan, help me translate the notebook with my name on it. Even the others were looking forward to seeing Robin. Robin nodded and opened the notebook. After seeing the first page of the notebook, Robin's face changed, and then he looked at Luffy in disbelief. Seeing that Robin didn't speak for a long time, Luffy asked in confusion, "What?" Robin cautiously tried, "Luffy, do you know your life experience?" Luffy said without hesitation, "Of course. I have 2 brothers and an unreliable father. As for my mother, I haven't seen her since I was born, and there's also a BD grandfather who often educates me with an iron fist." Robin asked, "Do you know your great-grandfather?" Luffy shook his head in confusion. After thinking for a long time, he still had no impression of the so-called great-grandfather. The great-grandfather died a long time ago, right? I was born when my grandfather was almost 60 years old. According to the age, my great-grandfather must have been more than 100 years old when I was born. Luffy explained, "Is that so?" Robin nodded thoughtfully, and then said, "This notebook seems to be left to you by your great-grandfather." "Ah!" Luffy exclaimed, and then looked at Robin in confusion. How did his great-grandfather know him? He even left him a notebook with Chinese characters. After learning about Luffy's situation, Robin began to translate the contents of the notebook. "Luffy, my great-grandson, on the day you were born, the whole world was calling for your fame. I know you came to this world with a mission. You will become the horn of change. You will play the music of freedom, pull those high-ranking celestial dragons into the quagmire, and push the corrupt world government into the abyss." Hearing such flattery, Luffy exclaimed in surprise, "Ah, am I so powerful?" Robin also looked at Luffy speechlessly. Luffy's clear eyes revealed pure stupidity. Such a person will bring changes to the world? Nami asked desperately, "Robin, do you think our world is going to end?" Robin said seriously, "The Horn of Freedom is actually the charge." Luffy's grandfather probably meant that Luffy will officially launch an attack on the world government after becoming the Pirate King. And Luffy's great-grandfather is actually the owner of the diary. That is the saint, which means that his great-grandfather has lived until now. This is not a lie. After all, the words on it can indeed be explained in this way. Luffy asked excitedly, "So my great-grandfather thinks I can become the Pirate King?" Robin can only comfort, "Well, your great-grandfather has high expectations of you." For Luffy, as long as you can believe that I will become the Pirate King, you're my best great-grandfather. Luffy said seriously. My dad's great-grandfather is much more reliable than my BD grandfather. As the destined person chosen by the Nika fruit, I will not interfere with your fate, but I will always watch you from outside the world. Nika fruit again? So Luffy, is it the rubber fruit or the Nika fruit that you eat? Nami complained speechlessly. Sanya also frowned and thought, why do so many top masters say that Luffy eats that Nika fruit? But as the person involved, Luffy said that he ate the rubber fruit, and from the performance, Luffy's devil fruit ability has always been the ability of the rubber fruit. I don't know, but the fruit I ate is indeed the rubber fruit. If you don't believe it, just look. Luffy pinched his face after he finished speaking. Looking at his face that was stretched out like plasticine by Luffy, Robin was also very confused. At this time, the smart Chopper asked, by the way, could the Nika fruit be another name for the rubber fruit? The second smartest Usopp nodded with sudden realization. It's possible. The smartest Luffy was also convinced. Luffy, who clapped his hand with his fist, suddenly realized it turns out that another name for rubber fruit is the Nika fruit. Looking at the interaction of these three smart people, Robin was speechless. Her intuition told her that the so-called rubber fruit was definitely not another name for the Nika fruit. The Nika fruit could be named by so many strong people, which must mean that the Nika fruit is not simple. Confused in his heart, Robin could only hope to find clues in the notebook in his hand, so he continued to translate. The Nika fruit is a special fruit. It has special luck and even special destiny. This luck will also infect the people around you. But these are not the point. The point is, children, if you want to learn hockey, don't go find a mediocre teacher named Pluton Rayleigh. That unfortunate child is only suitable for teaching the basics before school. If you want to find a teacher, you have to go to New World to find four emperors. They are professional training institutions for strong people. Robin, Straw Hat Crew. Luffy asked in confusion. Well, it says here that if you want to learn hockey, you have to go to the New World to find the four emperors. Are they running a cram school? I remember they seem to be pirates. Oh, this. Robin was also confused. Could it be that the information he knew before was false? There are no pirates, four emperors in the New World. There are only four royal-level cram schools. Robin, who was a little skeptical about life, said, I'd better continue translating. I'll check if this paragraph is translated wrong later. Ha ha ha. The above is all a joke, my dear grandson. Don't go to the pirates' four emperors for no reason, or you will be beaten up. Enel Grandmaster, two-color hockey. I will let him board your ship to teach you hockey. Although Enel's armament hockey is not outstanding, the observation hockey is definitely the top one on this sea. Huh, so is a joke. Luffy's great-grandfather is so frivolous, isn't he? He actually joked about such an important matter. Robin breathed a sigh of relief. The Straw Hat Crew also had black lines on their faces. For a moment, they all wanted to go to New World to find those four royal-level training institutions. Enel wants to be our partner? That's so cool, Luffy said with an excited smile. Luffy, who had been beaten up by Enel, knew the strength of that big-eared guy. With Enel's joining, he was one step closer to his goal of becoming the Pirate King. Finally, I will teach you something special. No one can match me in the field of breathing research. After countless versions of replacement, I have developed a set of special breathing methods that are most suitable for the public. I named it the natural breathing method. This unique breathing method can make people have the effect of slowing down aging, whitening skin, and improving the body's various recovery abilities. Although the effect is not heaven-defying, it is suitable for promotion and everyone can learn it. Nami's eyes lit up and she shouted excitedly, whiten the skin. Chopper, improve the body's recovery ability. Usopp, slow down aging. Zoro, improve the body's recovery ability. Natural breathing instantly got everyone's GT. Girls are naturally concerned about whitening their skin and slowing down aging, while straight men are concerned about improving the body's recovery ability. Shanyi, who was full of yellow waste, thought calmly. That aspect should also be improved, right? Doesn't that mean if it can improve physical recovery, then training can be strengthened in the future? Zoro is also very excited. Quick, Robin-chan, you can't hide it. Tell me the training method. Nami urged impatiently. No girl can resist the temptation of skin whitening and slowing down aging. No one. Robin nodded helplessly and then comforted. Okay, I will translate the content above into our language later, and then we will practice together. Now listen to me translate the following content. If my great destiny is not wrong, Robin, you should have met your aunt. I'm sorry about your mother, but she lives very well in the underworld, and very happy. Robin, Mom is with my uncle again. Does this count as putting a hat on my aunt? But what is living happily in the underworld? Robin looked at everyone in confusion. Nami, does the underworld really exist in the world? Is that Saint dead? I don't know how Belle-Emery is doing in the underworld. Sandy suddenly asked seriously. I feel like we have come into contact with some knowledge that we shouldn't know. Is this really good? The underworld actually exists. Zoro stared at the sword in his hand in a trance. Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates has their own sad past, and everyone has a dead love, not referring to love. Nami's adoptive mother, Robin's mother, Zoro's senior sister Kana, Usopp's mother who died of illness, Sanji's mother. To be honest, the Straw Hat Pirates really can't put together a complete family of parents. Those who have a father, but no mother. Those who have a mother. The Straw Hat Pirates really don't have a mother who is still alive at this stage. Luffy, who is a bit nervous, asked curiously, so my great-grandfather is dead? Robin shook his head. Probably not. If that man is really dead, Ace can't be so rational. Robin knows the women in his family too well. Ahem. I accidentally said too much, but since I didn't accidentally write it down anyway, I'll reveal my cards. That's right. The underworld is real. But it wasn't until 100 years ago that the underworld really became another world where the dead souls can continue to live. If they have no attachment to the underworld, they can also choose to be soulmates forever and become part of the world. The underworld actually exists. In reality, there are still souls who are attached to the underworld living in reality. Thinking of this, Usopp was already in tears. Mom, she should be living well in the underworld now, right? After hearing this news, Zoro became more determined than ever. Zoro raised the Tao in his hand and laughed in high spirits. Kuina, you must live well in the underworld, and you must watch my name resound throughout the heaven. I will definitely be the world's greatest swordsman. Burmel should still be watching us in the underworld, right? Yes. How could she bear to leave us? Nami kept whispering to herself. Wait. Chopper suddenly looked at Robin excitedly and asked, Robin-chan, is Luffy's great-grandfather still alive? Does he have any way to enter the underworld? Can we? Hearing this, everyone was excited. They wanted to go to the underworld to see if their relatives were living well in that world. Is there any greater adventure in the world than going to the underworld? Feeling the gazes of everyone, Robin didn't want to discourage his enthusiasm. So he said, Of course there is. My uncle must still be alive, and he must have a way to go to Kong Kong. I feel so excited. Luffy announced excitedly. Great. I've decided to go to the underworld for an adventure. I'll take everyone to see their loved ones. Ahem, I'll see if there's a way to enter the underworld later. Robin couldn't wait to translate the following content. But remember to keep the underworld secret. After the boundary between life and death is broken, the world will become very scary and even extremely chaotic. This is not a good thing for the sea. The reason why I told you is that I'm waiting for you to adventure in the underworld as me in the future. As for the way to go to the underworld, go and follow my footsteps. I have also traveled the entire sea and witnessed the turbulent waves of the sea and the miracles that are everywhere. Go. I left all my knowledge and wealth in my log. After translating, Robin, who felt bored, said, That's it. That's it. Nami also looked at Robin speechlessly. Robin nodded with a dark face. Yes. This guy didn't tell us how to go to the underworld. He just said that he expects us to go to the underworld as a living person. Then follow his footsteps. Find the log he left behind. I believe we can definitely do it. Luffy, who has always had a mysterious self-confidence, did not feel pessimistic but looked forward to encouraging everyone. Luffy believes that he will definitely find a way to go to the underworld as a living person in the future, then go and see if Sabo is living well in that world. Chapter 75, Infinite Continent. Nami asked excitedly, "Where's the other notebook?" "That notebook seems to be much thicker than the one in your hand. Will there be a way to go to the underworld?" Robin nodded after listening, then opened another notebook and began to translate. Finally arrived at the legendary Sky Island. To be honest, I have begun to like this world a little bit. Sky Island, the white sea and islands at an altitude of 10,000 meters. Such a remarkable natural miracle. If it weren't for the world government, that bunch of garbage, this world is really beautiful. Zoro said, "Is this a diary about Sky Island?" "It should be." Robin nodded. "Here, I finally saw the legendary angels. To be honest, in my impression, angels should be composed of beautiful women. They are just beautiful and powerful. But the angels in this world, how to say, it's a bit hard to describe. They have no strength and no education. Such a unique race. But the overall strength is not as good as the fish people." Robin frowned and said, "This saint seems to look down on the angels of the Sky Country. But I remember that the Sky Country seemed to be established with his assistance, right? Keep reading. The things involved may be quite complicated." Sanji said next to him. Robin nodded and continued to translate. "Do you want to create the angels in my mind? With my divine talent, this is actually not difficult. Anyway, I came to Sky Island mainly to spread myths, and I am usually idle. You are bored and decide to create a new angel race?" After translating this paragraph, Robin's mouth twitched slightly. "My uncle-in-law is so arrogant. Can he do whatever he wants with talent?" Nami next to him said, "Angel race? He should not have succeeded. After all, I haven't seen it." "No, he succeeded." An ethereal voice sounded in the room, and the one who did it was Yin, who had returned. After pouring himself a cup of tea with the teapot, Yin said in surprise, "I didn't expect that you took away this notebook. I was ready to leave, but you gave me a surprise." Looking at the blonde angel who suddenly broke into the room, Luffy realized that the other party had no ill intentions and asked casually, "Who are you?" "My name is Yin, the Queen of the Kingdom of Sky. According to seniority, you can call me Grandma." Yin answered casually, "Faye, Lu, I refuse. I think you are taking advantage of me." Luffy shook his head in dissatisfaction. Yin was too young. He couldn't bring himself to call such a person Grandma. "The Queen of the Sky Country." Zoro looked thoughtfully at Yin, who suddenly appeared in the room. The other party came quietly. It was not until the other party spoke that they noticed that there was an extra person in the room. From this point alone, it could be seen that the strength of this angel is definitely not something they can challenge. Sanji looked at Yin with love in his eyes and asked with an exaggerated expression, "Beautiful, powerful, blonde angel, could it be that you are?" Yin explained slowly, "Yes, I am the new angel created by Wu Ming. The reason why you haven't seen the new angels is that there are 3,000 warriors in the angel army, and they are all on the moon now." Moon." Everyone looked up at the sky in confusion. "Is that place really habitable? And how did the angel fly up there?" "Keep translating. This happened more than 200 years ago. It's worth recalling," Yin urged with a smile. Robin nodded quickly after hearing this. "In my imagination, angels should have the following qualities. 1. Justice and protection. Angels should take it as their responsibility to uphold justice and take it as their instinct to protect their loved ones. 2. Wisdom and power. Angels should not only have extraordinary power, but also extraordinary wisdom. They can use wisdom and their own abilities to fight against all evil. 3. Beauty and holiness. Angels are beautiful and holy. Their appearance embodies purity and nobility, bringing hope and light to people. 4. Sacrifice and dedication. When facing a crisis, angels should protect weak sisters at all costs, and they should also be willing to make sacrifices for greater goals. 5. Leadership and courage. As the king of angels, Yin should have outstanding leadership and indomitable courage, and be able to lead the angels to overcome challenges one after another. Hearing these familiar words again, Yan's mouth curled up slightly, and he couldn't help whispering, Sure enough, we angels are his pride. Robin looked at Yin curiously. No wonder it can be called a perfect race by my uncle-in-law. This is not a perfect race at all. This is clearly a perfect wife. Chuanbin complained in his heart. Yin was not angry, but nodded happily and said, "That's right. When she created me, she used the most perfect wife as a template." Hearing this, Robin's pupils shrank, and then he looked at Yin nervously. Robin asked in horror, "How do you know what I think in my heart?" Yin raised his chin and explained, "This is a little application skill of brain waves combined with hockey. It is very complicated to implement. You won't understand it even if I tell you." Doesn't that mean you can see all of our thoughts?" Nami looked at the angel, Yin in horror. Yin nodded. "Of course, but I'm not very interested in what you think in your heart. I'm just more used to communicating directly with your heart. After all, that's your truest thoughts and intentions." The Straw Hat crew frowned when they heard this, but they couldn't think of any solution and could only suppress the disgust of being read by others. Yin comforted, "Don't be so disgusted. I don't use this ability now." Hearing this, everyone's face looked a little better. What a terrible ability. Nami complained. Yin hit back. "That's because you are not strong enough. In my impression, anyone above the admiral level has observation hockey that can directly read other people's inner thoughts." Luffy asked curiously, "Above admiral? Are you talking about 4 emperors?" Yin smiled and explained, "No. 4 emperors and admiral are at the same level. What I mean by above admiral is strength. Anyway, you just need to know that for us, whether it is admiral or ordinary pirates, there's actually no difference between the two." Robin suddenly realized that although Yan's words were very euphemistic, the meaning revealed in his words was very straightforward. For Yin and others, admiral and ordinary pirates are just ants. "Why did you stop? Keep translating," Yin urged slowly. Robin looked at Yin in confusion and said, "Don't you know Chinese characters?" "What?" Yin smiled and pointed his finger at his head and said in a calm tone, "This contains all the texts and languages in the world. At present, there are no texts and languages on the sea that I don't understand." "Robin, then why?" Yin narrowed his eyes and said, "Because I like to hear other people talk about him." "Robin, you can feed me dog food by yourself?" Robin was speechless and could only continue to translate. Success. In less than 2 years, my artificial wife was successfully born. This will be the most trustworthy person since I came to this world, because she will never betray me. So I named her Yin. Hearing this translation, Yin couldn't help laughing as if he had eaten honey. No matter how many times I hear it, I will feel very happy. I am a person he trusts most in this world. Yin said to himself happily. Robin looked at Yin with some curiosity and asked, "You were created by others, don't you think? What do you think I should do? Doubt my life? And then doubt the meaning of my existence?" Yin chuckled. Sanji next to him also looked at Yin curiously. This time, Sanji's eyes were full of exploration and incomprehension, and there was no more lust as before, because strictly speaking, he himself was created by his father, and he was a failure. Sanji didn't understand why Yin could accept his origin calmly. Was it because she was more perfect? Yin smiled and asked back, "I now have my own thoughts and will as well as my own soul and body. I'm more normal than any normal person. Why should I doubt the meaning of my existence?" "My husband is your uncle-in-law." "No, it should be stepfather." "No, maybe in the future." Anyway, Wu Ming told me that people live just because they live. My birth may be different from that of normal people, but my soul and body are no different from normal ones. And even my soul and body are more perfect. Yin explained seriously. Sanji listened thoughtfully. Yin also looked at Sanji meaningfully. Yin teased and urged, "Keep translating. Instead of paying attention to me, you might as well be curious about the content behind. There are surprises in the back." Robin also came back to his senses after listening, and then curiously translated the content behind. Due to resource issues, it is definitely impossible to establish an angel civilization in this world, but it is still possible to establish an angel kingdom. With the resources I have now, I can only create 3,000 battle angels at most, but this is enough. Although the new battle angels are not strong, as long as they're given time, almost every angel has the ability to break through to above admiral. This is the most perfect and strange place of the angel race. No wonder he said that the new angel race is a perfect race. Robin secretly praised in her heart. The strongest person she has ever seen in her life is Marine Admiral. That is her Aunt Ace, but although Ace's strength is at the peak of Admiral, she has not broken through to above Admiral. Robin finally found the point at this time and asked curiously, "So, you have lived for more than 200 years?" Ian nodded and admitted, "We angels have almost eternal life. We will not die of old age, and it is estimated that it is difficult to die of illness. The only way to die may be to die in battle." Really, pervert! Robin secretly praised in his heart and was not curious about how perfect the angels were. Good news. The angels were created by me. Bad news. Not enough energy. The energy consumed to awaken an angel is an inestimable number, and the energy consumed by the angels when they are alive is also ridiculous. I feel that it is better to let Yin integrate the angels in the pirate world and then establish the angel kingdom. After all, after unifying Sky Island, it will definitely be more convenient to collect energy. Hearing this translation, Yin sighed with some regret. But it is a pity that each angel needs a huge amount of energy to be activated. So far, I am actually the only new angel who can move freely. Robin was relieved after hearing this. Angels are too perfect. If 3,000 angels like Yin haven't overthrown the world government, then the world government is too terrible. World government. How can I be so worthy? Nami next to him couldn't help asking. Then you're not very lonely? There are 3,000 tribesmen, but they are all in deep sleep. No, I never feel lonely. Yin smiled and shook his head. Yin smiled and said, "When the love for a person fills your heart, you will find that you are not lonely at all when you are wrapped in love." Nami. At this moment, Nami felt the same as Robin. She was alone, but she was forced to eat dog food. After the matter of Sky Island was temporarily over, I decided to go to the moon to see the place that Enel would call the infinite continent in the future. Although I knew that there were traces of life on the moon, I found that there was indeed a very developed civilization on the moon after I came to the moon. Luffy exclaimed, "Cool. There are people on the moon." Yin picked up an apple and took a bite, then casually said, "Enel is actually a descendant of the moon people." Luffy and others looked at Yin in surprise. Before, they always thought that Enel was from the angel tribe. Later, when they found that the wings behind Enel were not his own wings, they thought that Enel was from King Hai. As a result, Enel is actually a person from the moon. Yin explained, "It is said that the resources on the moon are exhausted, so the people on the moon came to Sky Island by balloon and settled here, and they became the people of Sky Island here. I found a lot of small robots here, which shows that the civilization on the moon may be more developed than the civilization of the current pirate world. But, well, it is quite normal for the science and technology in the pirate world to be biased, which is not strange, and I also found ancient characters in the historical essay here." After translating this passage, Robin thought, "There are ancient characters on the moon? If you're interested, I can take you to the moon to see it after you come back from the final island." Yin said, "Okay." Robin nodded directly, suppressed his curiosity about the moon, and continued to translate the contents of the notebook. Chapter 76. The Truth About the Nika Fruit. The way of recording on the moon is to use murals. This is really outrageous. I found a lot of artificial robots here, and these artificial robots are extremely intelligent. Although these robots are relatively small, there are enough of them. But when I think about the fact that the technology in this world is outrageous, it doesn't seem so strange. Is the technology in our world very biased? I don't feel it. Nami looked puzzled. As a local native, Nami didn't think there was anything strange about the technology in his world. After all, this world is crooked. In his mind, the development of technology comes from two needs, either war needs or life needs. And the first goal of technology in this world is not to meet these two. That's why he said that the technology in this world is very crooked, because the technology that can be used for war in this world is only lethal, and the technology used for people's livelihood is not widely spread. So he said that the technology in this world is very crooked. Yin explained beside him. Robin sneered and said, "The technology used for war can be replaced by the power of devil fruit. As for the technology for developing people's livelihood, those nobles are like that, not to mention the group of celestial dragons. How could they care about the lives of civilians?" As a victim of the world government, Ingen is the most qualified to express his opinion on this matter. Expect the world government to develop people's livelihood technology? Don't be ridiculous. You might as well expect the world government to have a conscience and give money to people all over the world one day. The world government has always been very unhuman in terms of being unhuman. I found another interesting thing. There's water on the moon. As we all know, the moon is actually empty, and the innermost part of the moon is not magma or mantle, but water, the purest water of July 20th. Anyway, if humans drink too much of this stuff, they will have problems, and the civilization on the moon depends on this water, because the moon does not have the ability to rain. Therefore, the water resources on the moon are limited. Finally, after the resources were consumed, the people on the moon chose to leave the moon and go to the pirate world. Later, they settled on Sky Island and became the current Sky Island people, that is, the angels with wings. After translating this long passage, Robin whispered, "So this is the origin of the angels." Yin explained beside him, "Not all the angels on Sky Island are from the moon. Some of the local natives also have wings, but because the time is too long, this matter can no longer be traced." Luffy said with blood boiling, "It's so cool. I really want to go to the moon to see it." Yin said coldly, "You can't go, and it takes a long time to go to the moon. I suggest you go after you go to the final island." Robin nodded, and then continued to translate the above content. "I studied the small robots on the moon. This thing can be said to be full of technology. It is not an exaggeration to say that the robots here are at least 600 years ahead of the pirate world. This is actually not an exaggeration. Looking at these robots that look similar to the little people, I suddenly had a bold idea in my mind. Robin, here it comes. Here it comes again. Uncle's bold idea comes again. The last bold idea seems to be the sun disk. Everyone who is already familiar with Wu Ming, the time traveler, looks at Robin excitedly, with expectations on their faces. "Do you want to create a 2B girl here? Or create another Alita?" Luffy asked stupidly. Is he cursing?" Yin explained for his man. "Ahem, Nightblade 2B-type robot. So it's called 2B for short." Hearing this answer, everyone's mouth twitched slightly. Luffy's great-grandfather's naming level is simply hard to describe. Based on the existing materials, the first one I created was Alita. All functions are similar to the Alita in my memory, and it can even learn the physical skills of the pirate world to upgrade. Robin asked curiously, "Alita? Robots don't seem to die, right? Where is she now?" Yin smiled and said, "If nothing unexpected happens, you should be able to see her soon." Robin nodded and didn't ask any more questions. After all, the Riddler should get out of Gotham. 2B is more difficult to create than Alita, and it took me almost 2 months, but 2B's initial strength is indeed stronger than Alita. The biggest progress since coming Sky Island is the progress of artificial human technology. Whether it is angels or 2B, their essence is artificial creatures. However, this kind of thing can't be done too much. Looking at the perfect life that I have been creating, I even have the illusion that I am the creator. This is already the creator, Angel. Nami glanced at Yen. Celestial dragons are called descendants of gods, but Nami felt that the angel Yin in front of her could be called a true god, and the fruit that created the god is naturally the creator. After staying on the moon for more than half a year, I have explored most of the ruins on the moon. If I have to say what I have gained, it is naturally the mechanical technology on it. And most importantly, I found a devil fruit on the moon. Outrageous! Devil fruit can actually be born on the moon. Wait, why does this fruit look so familiar? FK. Nika. Robin frowned and looked at the notebook in his hand. Nika fruit? Isn't this what they often say? Robin looked at Luffy in surprise. The Nika fruit from more than 200 years ago? It was actually found on the moon. Is there really something special about this fruit? Nami said in surprise. Nika fruit? Isn't this Luffy's? Luffy next to him was furious. I said, I ate rubber fruit. Rubber fruit is just his pseudonym. The world government deliberately erased the real name of this fruit from history. Yin added with a smile. Nami suddenly realized, so rubber fruit should have been called Nika fruit. Yin nodded with a smile. Is this the surprise you mentioned before? Robin asked thoughtfully. Yin did not answer, but said meaningfully, continue to translate the rest. The truth will be revealed soon. This devil fruit is related to Luffy, and everyone is nervously looking at the notebook in Robin's hand. Is there a trap for this devil fruit? Sanji muttered a little worriedly. Nika fruit. It is also called the fruit of destiny in the prophecy. It is said that those who eat it will liberate slaves all over the world. When the drum of liberation sounds, the song of freedom will resound through the sea. So, I was chosen by the Nika fruit? Joy Boy is actually me? Wait, it is said that this Nika fruit has its own consciousness, and I don't care about the ability of the Nika fruit. This fruit should be left to Luffy, but before that, I can use it to do some experiments. So this fruit chose Luffy's great-grandfather 200 years ago, and then was rejected by Luffy's great-grandfather. 200 years later, Luffy was chosen. Nami suddenly realized and looked at Luffy, whose face was not very good. Luffy retorted very seriously, I am Luffy, not Joy Boy. Well said. Yen applauded beside him, then smiled and praised. The Nika fruit was a rubber fruit before it awakened. You should develop it in this direction. As for free will, you don't have to care about it. The fact that this fruit can be in your hands proves that your great-grandfather has checked it and confirmed that this devil fruit has no harm. Your great-grandfather may cheat you, but he will never cheat you. Nami raised her hand and asked nervously, wait, what do you mean he will cheat us? But he won't hurt me. You will know this later. Yen left everyone with a meaningful smile and then disappeared in the room. Looking at Yen, who suddenly disappeared, Sanji exclaimed, disappeared? Disappeared? I didn't see how he disappeared at all. At a speed that cannot be captured by the naked eye. The Straw Hat crew in the room looked at the place where Yen had sat before in surprise. Nami came back to her senses at this time and asked, Robin, is there anything else? Of course there is. Robin nodded and then continued to translate. The real name of the Nika fruit should be the freedom fruit, right? The biggest special feature of this fruit is that it can affect everything around it after awakening. It can even assimilate the surrounding things. What is this? A fool pulls a smart person to the same IQ line as himself, and then defeats the smart person with rich experience? Although this is full of slots, it seems that the Nika fruit is used in this way. Forget it. Let's leave this fruit to Luffy. There's only one person in the world who has the talent of God, and there's no need to assimilate the world, but I suddenly have a bold idea. Robin. 2 bold ideas appeared on a notebook. Just when Robin was curious about the content behind, Rosso found that this was the last 10 beams. Facing the expectant eyes of everyone, Robin smiled bitterly. This is the last page. Hearing this, Nami complained in frustration. No wonder the Angel Queen left so cleanly. It turns out that it has come to the end. I don't know what Luffy's great-grandfather's bold idea is. Could it be that he wants to copy the Nika fruit? Chopper said curiously. Zero hearing this, everyone looked at him strangely. With that person's personality, Chopper's guess might really come true. Although there were many surprises today, Luffy, who was the best at digesting, did not sink because of this, but announced with full energy, okay, since the business has been done, let's take a good walk in this country and replenish supplies by the way. That's right. I want to try the feeling of stepping on the golden road again. Nami raised her hands excitedly in agreement. In this way, Straw Hat Crew began a large-scale sweep of the Sky Country. Grand Line Dressrosa Palace. Rebecca, you are too impulsive and too naive. You don't know what kind of person Doflamingo is, Violet said with a disappointed look. Curled up on the bed, Rebecca looked at Violet sadly with a look of despair on her face. Rebecca whispered, I just want to save my country, Violet said. But you can't pin your hopes on the kindness of others, especially when this person is Doflamingo. What is Doflamingo? This guy's character is even more vicious than those pirates. I heard that Doflamingo even killed his father when he was young. How could such a person have a conscience? How could he keep his promise and give up the benefits that are within his reach? I know. So I deliberately kept it back. Rebecca suddenly looked up and said, with a smile on her lips. Looking at Rebecca, who still had the face to smile, Violet frowned and activated the ability of the staring fruit to check the surroundings. After finding that no one was watching, Violet asked quickly, "What did you hide? Do you know how dangerous it is to do this? If Doflamingo is discovered, the consequences will be—" "Don't worry, they don't understand Chinese characters at all, and they won't know what I'm hiding." Rebecca comforted confidently. "Aunt Violet, I will definitely be locked up here, but you can move freely in the palace. There's a secret base hidden in the basement of our palace. That was the last kindness that the owner of the diary left for us, Dressrosa." The owner of the diary said that if we were willing to join him to fight against the world government, he would help us take back Dressrosa. "Are you sure?" Violet asked with a frown. Violet didn't really have much affection for the owner of the diary, because that person had killed one of their ancestors. "We don't have a choice now, do we? Either the owner of the diary or Doflamingo. Who do you think would be better for Dressrosa?" Rebecca asked back. Hearing this, Violet was silent. Indeed, the weaklings like them had no choice at all. Either join the diary owner's team and fight against the world government together, or live under Doflamingo's dark rule. So what if they don't oppose the world government? Every year, Dressrosa pays the world government a huge amount of gold from the sky. But what's the result? Doflamingo is clearly doing evil in the Dressrosa kingdom, but the world government pretends not to see it. Violet doesn't believe that the world government doesn't know what's going on here, but it's also because of this that Violet feels chilled. Rebecca whispered, "The underground base is—" Violet nodded. "I'll go take a look after a while. I can't move around at this time. After all, Doflamingo will definitely be on guard. If there's really a way to save Dressrosa, we will abide by the agreement and resist the world government." Rebecca nodded excitedly. Although she didn't know what the owner of the diary left there, it finally let them see a glimmer of hope. "But, Rebecca, how did you learn Chinese characters?" Violet asked curiously. "My swordsmanship teacher taught me." Rebecca's face flashed a blush when she said this. "Is it the handsome teacher who taught you swordsmanship when you were a child?" Violet asked in surprise. Rebecca nodded, then said embarrassedly, "Yes, he said that as long as you learn this Chinese character, you can become a hero who saves Dressrosa, but I was too young at the time and didn't understand the deep meaning of this. I only knew how to play, so I only learned half of it." "So, what's that person?" Violet nodded in sudden realization, and a flash of reminiscence flashed in the depths of her eyes. At that time, she was in love for a period of time and really admired the handsome swordsmanship teacher. But then the swordsmanship teacher suddenly left. The white moonlight in her impression never appeared again. Chapter 77, Marine Admiral Brawl. Is that man also part of the diary owner's plan? Violet guessed in her heart. Violet didn't think of the swordsmanship teacher and the diary owner together. Violet pretended to leave Rebecca's room angrily. This was, of course, a show for others to see. Doflamingo couldn't believe Rebecca so easily. West Blue, a Kainu, dressed like a pirate, was unhappy. "This outfit is too disgusting. Can't you use a normal disguise?" Akainu angrily questioned the world government agent next to him. The agent next to him was speechless and then complained, "There is no way." Now the Marines of West Blue have all rebelled. They're searching very strictly, and with your temperament, what else can you disguise yourself as except a pirate? Don't you know what your physique is? You don't look like anything except a pirate. Akainu, who only wanted to complete the task as soon as possible, urged impatiently, "Where is that damn traitor now? According to the situation of our people, he should be in the naval headquarters of West Blue now. It should have been a very developed kingdom palace, but it was destroyed on false charges some time ago, and then Kazan took it for himself and turned it into the new naval headquarters now." The agent reported. In fact, it was not a false charge. The reason why the kingdom was destroyed by Kazan was purely because the royal family of that kingdom was a celestial dragon's worshipper, and they also refused the entry of the new Marine 30th Army in person. Kazan did not spoil the royal family. Since they did not give face, they could only be buried. Of course, he couldn't explain this kind of thing. After all, Kazan is now an enemy. How could they whitewash the enemy? The world government even took the opportunity to discredit the new Marine, exaggerating and describing the new Marine as an unforgivable pirate. Then hurry up and arrest that BD. It's so disappointing that a Marine admiral has fallen to this level, Akainu said with hatred. The phone in the agent's arms suddenly rang. After answering the call, the agent nodded, then turned to the two and said, "Just got the latest intelligence. The Marine trader Kazan suddenly left the new naval headquarters and headed for a very remote island. It is said that some treasure was found on that island." Kizaru said gloatingly, "Isn't this better? When we fight, we don't have to worry about affecting civilians." "That's right. Hurry up and follow," Akainu urged excitedly. On the new Marine warship, Kazan looked at the beach in the distance and said, "After you put me down on the island in front, leave first." The new Marine next to him said with some concern, "Marshal, isn't this too risky? You should call the Snowfield twins." "Don't worry. I am capable of dealing with all threats," Kazan comforted. "MB." Kazan touched his heart and whispered softly, "You know, there are 300 years of accumulation here. Since the heart transplant surgery, his strength has been changing dramatically every day. Kazan can clearly feel the limit he has touched, which is the so-called admiral level peak. What a pity. If I have a little more time, I should be able to see the style above admiral." Kazan thought with some regret in his heart. But it is enough. With my current strength, I can be invincible against Akainu and Kizaru alone. If I am lucky, I could defeat both of them. Thinking so in his heart, Kazan now has only one goal, which is to minimize the losses of the new Marine as much as possible. So he went to this deserted island alone, with the purpose of setting up the battlefield here. After landing on the isolated island, Kazan quietly looked into the distance on the reef by the sea, silently waiting for the arrival of his former comrades. On the transport ship, Akainu, who received the intelligence again, was surprised. Kazan actually stayed on the island alone? Is he really looking for treasure? No, we should have been exposed. He is waiting for us. It's so scary. Kazan should want to kill us there, right? Kizaru said sarcastically. Is that so? Akainu nodded thoughtfully. Really arrogant. Kazan has become so tall after defecting from Marine. Akainu gritted his teeth. Kazan actually wanted to face the two Marine admirals alone. How much he looked down on them. You know, my lava fruit has always restrained Kazan's frozen fruit. Looking at the ship appearing on the sea level, Kazan slowly stood up and whispered softly, "Here it comes. I saw him. He should be waiting for us," Kizaru said with a telescope. That's really arrogant. Akainu stared at Kazan, standing on the sea stone with cold eyes. Then let me meet you first. Akainu directly turned into a semi-element. Meteor volcano. Both fists turned into lava and then gushed out. The magma, flying into the sky, turned into meteors and hit the island beach indiscriminately. Extreme cold field. Kazan just blew a breath of cold air lightly, and the terrifying extreme cold field instantly turned the entire island into an iceberg, and those meteors that fell from the sky were quickly frozen after hitting the ice surface. Kizaru exclaimed in an yin and yang tone. One blow freezes the entire island. Kazan's strength suddenly became so terrifying. Akainu looked gloomy when he saw this scene. The agent next to him quickly reminded, "The sea is frozen, and the ship can't pass." Then stop here. After Akainu finished speaking, he stepped on the moonwalk and headed towards the island. Kizaru could only turn into an element helplessly, and then instantly appeared on the beach of the island. "Kizaru, you shouldn't have come." Kazan sighed leisurely. Kizaru pretended to be helpless and complained, "There's no way. After all, I still have to rely on the world government to pay my salary." Kazan certainly didn't believe Kizaru's nonsense. Kazan asked, "You who never like to join in the fun, why do you want to get involved in this matter?" At this time, Akainu, who came on the moonwalk, shouted angrily, "Because you blasphemed the justice of the Marine." After seeing the person coming, Kazan's face instantly became extremely cold. "Kazan, I have nothing to say to you." "Akainu, you are too extreme." "Oomph. There's nothing much to say to a traitor like you." Akainu snorted coldly and then attacked directly. Dog-gnawing red lotus. Amenokumenoken. Akainu has already taken action, so Kizaru naturally can't just stand by and watch. Giant ice hammer. Kazan's right arm instantly turned into a huge ice hammer and then smashed towards the two people's attacks. Boom! Lava and ice chips flew everywhere, mixed with some light flowers. If the danger of this collision is ignored, this scene is undoubtedly magnificent. Kazan seemed to be at ease blocking the attacks of two admirals at the same time, but Akainu and Kizaru, who were fighting for physical strength, didn't look very good. Although it seems that both sides are evenly matched, you have to know that this is a 2-on-1 battle. As Marine admirals, Kazan was not at a disadvantage in fighting 1 against 2, which can already explain a lot of problems. Kazan's strength has suddenly become so strong. Akainu thought in disbelief. Crack! A sword suddenly struck, and Kazan, who was completely unprepared, had his right arm cut off. The attacker was an old man with long hair, and the sword in his hand showed that the old man was a great swordsman. The old man with long hair announced expressionlessly, "Kazan, Marine traitor, you are doomed. I will arrest you on behalf of the world government." Kazan, who had grown his right arm again in the elemental state, looked expressionlessly at the long-haired old man and the short-haired old man behind him. Kazan asked in an affirmative tone, "A lackey of the world government." The long-haired old man did not say anything, but silently cut off Kazan's retreat. Kazan was surrounded by 4 admiral-level strongmen, but there was no panic on his face. Kizaru sighed, "Kazan, surrender." 4 admiral-level strongmen surrounded, and Kazan himself was not good at escaping. Kizaru really couldn't think of what Kazan could do to turn the tables this time. "The world government really thinks highly of me," Kazan exclaimed sincerely. "But I won't surrender." As soon as Kazan finished speaking, he shouted, "Ice and snow world." The terrifying, extreme, cold white fog instantly enveloped the entire island. Akainu, who was once again enveloped by the white fog, had an extremely gloomy face. This trick is too familiar. The last Buster Call was defeated by this move. Akainu reminded with a gloomy face. Under this strange white weapon, the observation haki will be ineffective. Kizaru also nodded and said, "My observation haki is also ineffective." At this time, the long-haired old man said, "I will tell you his location. In addition to the great swordsman, his best skill is observation haki. You two's observation haki is too bad. Only the top observation haki will not be blocked." The long-haired old man taught, "Listen to my command. Dozi oklok." After the old man finished talking, he swung his knife directly in the direction of Kazan. In this way, a truly top-level battle began. This is a battle between 5 admiral-level masters. On a warship that had already gone a long way, a marine soldier looked at the sky not far away with admiration. The sky there had long been dyed with colorful Madara colors, with the red of magma, the colorless of ice and snow, but more of the light of sparkling fruit. The marine who put away the telescope shouted loudly, "Leave here quickly. The battle over there will soon cause climate changes in the surrounding area." The same scene also happened on the world government ship. The battle between the 5 admiral-level masters could not be said to be devastating, but it was enough to sink an island. And the tsunami caused by the sinking of the island was enough to roll all the surrounding existences into the seabed. Chapter 78. At this moment, Im has not realized the seriousness of the matter. This battle lasted for 3 days, and the passing ships could only see the clouds on the horizon dyed red by the flames. 3 days. A new marine sighed. Nunu calmly took out an apple and stuffed it into Willem's mouth. It should be a winter soon. At this moment, the original small island had already been sunk by everyone, and there was a thick layer of ice and lava everywhere under everyone's feet. The 2 old and frail old men were already panting, especially the long-haired old man, who almost squeezed out his last bit of physical strength. The long-haired old man knew that after this battle, whether he won or lost, he would not have many days left. But there was a greater possibility that he would fall in this battle. Unlike others, he could be said to be exhausted, because he still needed to use observation haki to capture Kazan's figure during the battle. On the other hand, Kazan was different. Standing on the ice, he had almost endless physical strength thanks to the ice breathing method. But facing the siege of 4 opponents of the same level, even with the geographical advantage, Kazan's right leg was still cut off, and now his foot is a prosthetic leg made of ice. Akainu roared, panting, "Kazan, you still refuse to admit defeat? If you continue like this, you will die." This is the nth time that Akainu has persuaded the other party to surrender. This is not because Akainu has become merciful, but a simple psychological warfare. "Kazan, I'm almost tired. Why don't you surrender? Wasting time is not good for everyone." Kizaru said leisurely. "Admit defeat? West Blue is my home court. You all have to stay here today." Kazan also panted, but said confidently. Kazan sneered. "Two old guys, you shouldn't be able to hold on for long, right?" The long-haired old man sneered. "So what? You are injured." Kazan frowned. Although he can rely on ice breathing to continuously restore his physical strength, it also means that his own energy will be doubled. If he hadn't been holding on with that willpower, he might have fainted immediately if he relaxed a little. Both sides had reached their limits. Kazan looked at the 2 old men expressionlessly and thought fiercely in his heart. "No, hold on a little longer. Even if it takes a while, I will drag these 2 old guys to death." His right foot was cut off by the long-haired old man, and this revenge must be avenged. In this way, the 2 sides exchanged verbal attacks for a while and then fought again. The long-haired old man, who was not injured, was still waving his sword the moment before and suddenly stopped the next second. In the ice and snow, the long-haired old man stood on the ice like an ice sculpture. Although his eyes were open and the sword in his hand was raised high, he had already stopped breathing. The old man next to him was also frightened after seeing such a weird scene. After being frightened, the short-haired old man also followed suit. The short-haired old man's eyes quickly lost their luster. The 2 nearly 80-year-old old men were exhausted to death by the young man Kazan. After the 2 old men fell into eternal sleep, Kazan also breathed a sigh of relief. As his mind relaxed, Kazan also fainted. Akainu, who also breathed in less than he breathed out, said tiredly, "Huh, it seems that we won. How terrible. 1 against 4, but he replaced 2 of them. If he had held on for a while, maybe both of us would have been replaced." Kizaru sighed with relief. Since his debut as a Marine, this was the most prolonged battle he had ever fought. Akainu moved slowly, step by step towards the unconscious Kazan, and Akainu did not hide the murderous intent in his eyes. Akainu obviously wanted to execute Kazan right here. Kizaru, who saw this scene, quickly stopped him and said, "The order from the world government is to take him back for public execution. He himself is not injured, but his spirit is overexhausted. Once he wakes up, we don't have as good physical strength as him. And do you think Sea Stone can control him?" Akainu asked back without turning his head. Hearing this, Kizaru opened his mouth, but finally chose to remain silent. Unlike Kazan, the 2 of them have really reached their limit. Even if they want to recover and fully recover to their peak, it will take at least half a month. But Kazan is different. Being an unlucky child may not take a day to recover his spirit. By then, won't the 2 of them be praised? Just as Akainu raised his right hand and prepared to take action, the ice suddenly trembled violently. Akainu was almost exhausted and was directly knocked down, and Kizaru barely managed to stabilize his body. Boom! The huge dorsal fin broke through the ice, followed by the thick black back and the familiar dinosaur head. The king of monsters, Godzilla, is coming. Akainu, who barely held on to the ice, gritted his teeth and cursed. "It's this damned monster again!" Exclamation point. Godzilla, floating on the sea, looked at the 2 of them jokingly, and even a touch of human disdain slipped across his mouth. Glancing at the unconscious Kazan, Godzilla directly used his tail to swing Kazan on his head, and then walked away without looking back. Akainu wanted to stop him after seeing this, but was stopped by Kizaru next to him. Kizaru scolded, "Akainu, are you crazy? We can't stop the attack of this monster in our current state. Not to mention the energy ray that can destroy everything. Just based on the opponent's size, They can't withstand a direct one-tail attack. You have to know that this is on the sea. If the monster destroys the floating ice, then both of them will be buried in the sea. Originally, his eyes were red. Akainu also regained his sanity after hearing this. Damn it. If this damn monster had appeared earlier, we might have retreated, and those two old guys wouldn't have died. Akainu gritted his teeth. Don't you see it yet? The mastermind behind this is doing it on purpose. He is using Kazan to waste time on those two old guys. The last Godzilla is here to finish it off. Kizaru said sarcastically. Kizaru urged, let's go. West Blue is the enemy's base camp. If you stay here for too long, something bad will happen. Akainu nodded with reluctance, and then left the sunken island like a defeated dog. Naval headquarters. Having just received the intelligence, Sengoku put down the den mushy expressionlessly. Bad news. The plan to capture the Marine trader failed. Good news. The two admirals of Marine were fine. Bad news. The two retired agents of the world government died. Sengoku ordered the clerk at the door of the office. Go and call Crane. After a while, Crane hurried over. Sengoku sighed helplessly. The mission failed. Akainu and the others did not bring Kazan back. Crane frowned and asked, what happened? Did the old men take action again? No, but I would rather they took action. Sengoku shook his head. Crane frowned and asked impatiently, so what happened? Sengoku explained. Kazan fought 1 against 4 and killed 2 retired agents of the world government. However, Kazan was unconscious due to excessive energy consumption. Akainu wanted to execute Kazan on the spot, but was stopped by the Titan. Crane asked in confusion, you said Kazan fought 1 against 4 and changed 2? Do you want to hear what you're talking about? Is Kazan so strong? Sengoku nodded helplessly. I also found it unbelievable at first, but this is the fact. Kazan's strength should be the bottom among the 3 admirals, right? Why did he suddenly become so strong? Crane asked in confusion. Sengoku. Akainu speculated that he should have practiced the ice-breathing method. How long has it been? How much improvement did the ice-breathing method have on Kazan? Crane was a little unbelievable. But this is the fact. Sengoku said tiredly, sitting on the chair. Although he was shocked by Kazan's sudden surge in strength, Crane still asked rationally, what did the world government say? Sengoku. The world government is very angry. Seeing that Sengoku hadn't said anything for a long time, Crane was speechless. That's it? Sengoku nodded. That's it. Crane, how could it be that it's gone? Sengoku complained. What else do you think? Send out the Knights of God to arrest Kazan? Don't forget that Kazan is not rocks, and he was not ambushed. Hearing this, Crane nodded in understanding. The Knights of God are indeed powerful, but that is the base of the world government. The Knights of God cannot be dispatched to capture a Marine trader. After all, the main responsibility of the Knights of God is to protect the Holy Land of Mariakia. In the war in the Valley of the Gods, the Knights of God did not dispatch all of them, only 3 members. But the embarrassing thing is that, judging from the strength shown by Kazan now, if you want to arrest Kazan directly, then the world government must dispatch at least 4 Marines. Admiral, at this time, Sengoku finally said the treasonous words with a worried face. Tsu, I seem to feel a giant is crumbling. Hearing this, Tsuru's pupils shrank, and then she looked at Sengoku in horror. She would not be surprised if Sengoku scolded celestial dragons, and she would not be surprised if she even spit on world government. But now, Sengoku is actually singing the bad news about world government. Is the world government, which has stood in the world for 800 years, finally going to collapse? Tsuru thought in disbelief. So what do you mean? Tsuru looked at Sengoku in confusion. Sengoku whispered, in the future, we Marines should not participate in the fight between the time traveler and the world government. It's time for us to consider the future of Marine. Hearing this, a gleam of light flashed in the depths of Tsuru's eyes. Indeed, these old guys have to consider the future of Marine. Marine is to maintain order and eliminate evil at sea. As for the time traveler wanting to overthrow the world government, Tsuru thinks that should be a political struggle. As for the time traveler being a rebel, don't be ridiculous. We Marines suppress pirates. So what do those rebels have to do with us Marines? For the future of Marines, I can only be shameless. I may occupy the position of Marine Marshal for a while, Sengoku said with a wry smile. Crane nodded. At this moment, Marines are facing a great change that has never happened before. Except for Sengoku, no one else is really suitable to be Marine Marshal at this time. There are only 2 Marine candidates. Akainu is not to be mentioned. With Akainu's personality, Akainu will definitely lead Marine to fight the time traveler to the death. After all, in Akainu's eyes, whether they are rebels, bandits, or pirates, they are all sinners, and Marine should be dispatched to eliminate all of them. Kizaru is not to be mentioned. His personality is destined to prevent him from becoming Marine Marshal. Although Marine does need to play badly now, it depends on how to play it. Seeing Sengoku, who is already gray-haired but still worried about the future of Marine, he sincerely comforted him. Sengoku, you've worked hard. Sengoku answered firmly. Marshal Kong gave Marine to me, and I must give him a future red line. Between the power of the Holy Land, Mariewa, failed again, and lost 2 admirals. Is the new Marine really so difficult to deal with? Saint Jigaluja, Satan, gritted his teeth and looked at the information in his hand. Saint Izambaron V, Nasajuro next to him, also had a face full of sorrow. Uncomfortable, because he was uncomfortable. How about I take people to West Blue? Saint Topman Wachuri said with a displeased face. Saint Jigaluja, Satan objected. No, what if this is the conspiracy of the time traveler? He deliberately put what if Kazan is used as bait to lure us into a trap. The pupils of Saint Marca's Maz shrank, and then he asked with a trembling voice, You mean the Traverser wants to lead us out of the Holy Land and then defeat us one by one? Saint Izambaron V. Nashaling nodded. This is very likely. Saint Marca's Maz, who obviously couldn't swallow this breath, asked unwillingly, Should this matter be forgotten? Saint Jigaluja Satan said, Then let West Blue be handed over to the new Marine first, and then I will report this matter to Lord Amu. The 4 people in the room nodded after hearing this. They naturally like to see someone take the blame for such a shameful thing. Although these people have stood at the pinnacle of world power, they're still afraid of bearing Emu's anger. Red line, Celestial Dragon's Forbidden Land under the Void Throne. Saint Jigaluja Satan, good by the king, prostrated himself on the ground respectfully. Lord Yim, this is the whole story. A time traveler who accidentally came to our world 300 years ago. Yim muttered to himself, supporting his cheek lazily with his right hand. Jigaluja Satan, Saint trembled and added, Yes, we only found out about it some time ago, and we discovered it through the work log he left behind. Strange that so-called time traveler has been in this world for 300 years, and I have never found him. Yim frowned. A person outside of fate? He has been planning for more than 300 years just to overthrow the world government? Interesting. So interesting. Ah. After 800 years, this world finally gave birth to an interesting chess player. Ima suddenly laughed crazily. Cold sweat broke out on the forehead of Saint Jigaluja Satan, who was crawling on the ground, and the fear in his heart increased to ultimate. It has been a long time since he saw Lord Emu have such a big emotional fluctuation. Saint Jigaluja Satan thought with fear in his heart. It's over. The world is over. The so-called marine trader Kushi should be just a chess piece pushed out by the other party. And it may be the most worthless chess piece. Since he thinks that the world will be better without the world government, then hand over West Blue to the so-called New Marine. I want to see whether the people of West Blue are willing to get rid of the rule of the world government. Yim said in a cold tone. Jago Luja Satan's saint asked with a trembling voice, Lord Yim, what do you mean? Yim said coldly, Let the people of West Blue see how desperate their lives will be without the world government. Hearing this, Jiguja, Satan, Saint nodded in sudden realization, and then said, Lord Yim is right. Those slaves have forgotten that it is they who need the world government, not us, the world government, who need them. Chapter 79, Ixtal. Minga is defeated again. A real war is never just about swords. blood and fire. Jigaluja Satan didn't understand this before, but now after Yim's reminder, Jigaluja Satan understands. I will ask the world government and the member countries to impose an economic blockade on the entire West Blue and send people to secretly destroy the West Blue granary. Jigaluja Satan said quickly. Im nodded with satisfaction. Go down. What you have to do now is to stabilize the trend. When the final moment comes, all resistance will be in vain. After Jigaluja Satan's saint left, Im, who was sitting on the void throne, sneered and said to himself, what an interesting chess player. The timing is really good. Eastern Alabasta. All the secrets in history will be revealed to the world as long as someone is interested. Gladius, the ability of the explosion fruit, is also one of the first members of the Don Quixote family to follow Doflamingo. Gladius listened to his subordinate's report and asked impatiently, are you sure that the legendary sun disk really exists in this ghost place? The subordinate next to him said quickly, of course. In the whole Alabasta, only this place may have a sun disk because other places are deserts, and only this place is an oasis. What is the name of this place? Looking at the dense jungle in front of him, Gladius asked. Ixtal. It is said that this area once belonged to Alabasta more than 200 years ago. It was the first area to join Alabasta during the reign of Queen Sataka. After Queen Sataka died, Ixtal left Alabasta again and then lived a secluded life in this jungle. If the sun disk really existed in history, then the sun disk could only be here. I suspect that Ixtal stole the sun disk after Queen Sataka died. The historian next to Gladius analyzed seriously. Not to mention, Gladius felt that the old guy's analysis made sense. Gladius praised with satisfaction. You are worthy of being a famous historian in Alabasta. I will take people in to find out. If the sun disk is really found, our Don Quixote family will not lose your benefits. Gladius casually painted a big picture for this scholar who is still useful. The fact is, if the sun disk is really found, in order to keep it secret, no one can be left alive. 767 Alabasta Palace. Vivi, who had just received a report from her subordinates, frowned and looked into the distance with a thoughtful look. Doflamingo's people actually came to her Alabasta, and the most important thing is that these people seem to be looking for something. Vivi looked down at the map on the table thoughtfully. In the Ixtal region, there were 3 kingdoms in this place a long time ago. Later, except for the first one that joined Alabasta, the remaining 2 kingdoms were destroyed by Sataka. Later, after Queen Sataka suddenly disappeared, Ixtal broke away from Alabasta again, although Ixtal was still a vassal of Alabasta in name. But in fact, Ixtal has long been independent, because Ixtal has a unique advantage in the Alabasta Moon Desert. That is the dense jungle. Ixtal is in a desert climate zone, but this place seems to be blessed by God, and the rainfall there is sufficient to make people doubt life. The most important thing is that according to historical records, Ixtal was not called this name 300 years ago, and there was not even a jungle there. Vivi murmured to himself in a low voice. All the turning points started more than 200 years ago. Could it be your masterpiece? Saint. Just as Vivi was thinking about how to deal with the Don Quixote family, a desert pigeon flapped its wings and flew in from outside. After taking out the letter from the feet of the pigeon, Vivi looked at the content on it, and his pupils shrank. How was it possible? Wei Wei stood up from the throne. The content of the letter was very simple, just saying the purpose of the Don Quixote family members coming to Alabasta. To find the lost sun disk, Vivi gritted her teeth and said, how did Doflamingo know about the sun disk? Vivi first suspected Crocodile. After all, they were both Shichibukai. Although Crocodile is not now, such an ambitious person will inevitably be mixed up with Doflamingo. After all, judging from the practices and actions of the two, these 2 guys are actually the same kind of people. Vivi's second suspect is Robin, who is also the only suspect left. After all, Robin has always been called the son of betrayal. In order to get protection, it is not surprising that Robin betrayed the Straw Hat Pirates and joined Doflamingo, one of the Shichibukai. But if it is really Robin, the other party has no need to tell him where Sataka is sleeping. It seems that I have to go there in person. Vivi said to herself. There is definitely no sun disk in Ixtal, but that place is definitely related to the saint. God knows what the saint will leave there. Vivi never dared to underestimate the saint's layout, let alone the things left by the saint. After all, he himself is one of the beneficiaries. A devil fruit made her an admiral-level warrior. If Ixtal also had something similar, that thing must not fall into the hands of the leader of Doflamingo. In order to save time, Vivi went lightly and didn't even run fast. With the blessing of the devil fruit, Weiwei's speed even surpassed the high-speed rail. 2 days later, boom! A violent explosion sounded from the jungle of Ixtal. Gladius, the user of the explosion fruit, was panting in horror at the moment. Gladius roared in grief and anger. How can flowers eat people? It must be a fruit user. Damn BD, get out of here quickly. Dead, all dead. The elite of the Don Quixote family he brought in and the historian are all dead. Now their bodies are hanging on strange vines. When he first entered the jungle, the historian told him the legend of this jungle. The historian said that this jungle is alive. In the past 200 years, many people have entered this jungle, but no one has been able to get out alive. At first, Gladius scoffed at this rumor. It is normal for a group of ordinary people to die in the jungle, but he has the ability of the explosion fruit. It is just a jungle. Even if there are super large beasts in it, it is not a big deal. Then he was slapped in the face soon. At first, the team was attacked by various plants one after another, and then the intensity of the attacks became stronger and stronger. In the end, only he could barely resist desperately. But even so, Gladius now knew that he had reached his limit. Fortunately, the information was sent out. Next time, Lord Doflamingo should be prepared, right? Gladius was full of gratitude. It's just a harmless flower. After all, there are always many surprises hidden in the forest. A charming and low voice came from the forest. Looking in the direction of the voice, I saw a charming woman with a graceful figure and a natural beauty walking out of the jungle. Gladius' pupil shrank, and he looked at the strange humanoid creature in front of him in disbelief. She looked like a human, but the plant shell on her body didn't look like she was wearing it, but like it grew naturally. She didn't look like a human, but her overall image, whether from her figure or appearance, was that of a real beauty. Who are you? Gladius asked hoarsely. You brought a group of rude people and broke into my house very rudely. And you came to ask who I am? Jella tilted her head and looked at Karates with a puzzled look. No matter who you are, go to me. After Gladius finished speaking, he was ready to activate the power of the devil fruit. But Jella was faster than him. A thorny vine suddenly covered his neck and then lifted him up fiercely. Hanging in the air, Gladius grabbed the vine with both hands, trying to break the vine wrapped around his neck. But the vines wrapped around his neck were extremely tough, and he couldn't tear them apart at all. Gladius, who was having more and more difficulty breathing, looked at Jella with resentment. Go to hell. Damn BD. After Gladius finished speaking, his whole body began to swell. Seeing this, Jella waved her hand, and a huge flower swallowed the swollen Gladius in one bite. Boom! A dull explosion sounded, and the flower summoned by Jella was directly damaged due to internal damage. But it was precisely because of this barrier that Gladius's self-exposure did not affect the surrounding jungle. It's been almost 200 years, and finally something interesting has come. Jella commented with a smile. After Jella finished speaking, she disappeared into the jungle. There were dangers everywhere, but Jella had no worries. Dressrosa. Doflamingo hung up the phone with a gloomy face and then announced sadly, our family Gladius will stay in Alabasta forever. Ixtal. In that case, tell Kaido this news. We definitely can't go to Skull Island, but Kaido can fly, so he will definitely find Skull Island. Doflamingo said. Tori Bull nodded. Doflamingo urged. Then increase the exploration of Greenbit Island and find the notebook of the time traveler on it. Violet saw this scene and sneered in her heart. What do you mean by being sad for the sacrifice of family members? How could such a guy have such a quality? You didn't go to take revenge directly when Gladius got into trouble. Doflamingo asked jokingly again, by the way, Violet, your niece shouldn't be upset, right? After all, She is very valuable, Violet quickly assured. Don't worry, Mr. Minga. I have convinced my niece, and she is willing to serve Greenbit. Hearing this, Doflamingo nodded with satisfaction. This was the best news he had received recently. After sending everyone away, Doflamingo was silent for a long time and then hesitantly dialed Den Den Mushy. It was the Skull Island that you asked me to find, Kaido. I have found it. The location is... Doflamingo himself is an extremely decisive person. After realizing that there was no possibility between him and Skull Island, Doflamingo sold the news to Guy Nu without hesitation. World Ghost Island. Wow, finally found it. The legendary Titan Beast habitat. Kaido was so excited that tears flowed down his face. Little guys, your boss is going to East Blue. You stay at home and take good care of the house. Kaido couldn't wait to turn into a blue dragon and fly away. A younger brother looked at Kaido's departing back in confusion and said, Boss Kaido, are you looking for a place to commit suicide again? Jean looked at Kaido's back with a flickering look. Has the legendary Skull Island finally been found by the boss? The era of beast pirates is finally coming. Jean thought excitedly in his heart. After flying for 3 consecutive days and 3 nights, Kaido finally arrived at East Blue. Following the direction given by Doflamingo, Kaido quickly saw an island that looked like a skull. Skull Island. So this is the origin of Skull Island. This island really looks like a skull. Kaido said to himself in sudden realization. Boom! Kaido fell heavily on Skull Island. The sudden loud noise caused a riot among the surrounding creatures. King Kong, whose observation haki was enough to cover the entire island, also rushed to the scene at the first time. Blue Dragon Kaido. King Kong looked at the behemoth in front of him in confusion. Humans actually live in the habitat of Titan beasts. Kaido looked at King Kong in front of him with some surprise. King Kong said expressionlessly, Kaido, this is not a place you can come to. Faced with such eyes, Kaido's joy was instantly diluted. He hadn't felt such eyes for a long time. It was a look of looking at trash. As for why Kaido was sure that King Kong's eyes meant that, it was because he often used this Nima. 014207130162421021. I feel that you are strong, but I am stronger than you. So Skull Island belongs to me from today. Kaido Haki announced. Hearing this, King Kong sneered. King Kong grinned grimly. I just hope you don't run away in a panic. After all, you can fly. If you want to run, I may not be able to catch up. After King Kong finished speaking, he rushed directly to Kaido, and his body was constantly in submission. Soon, a huge Yunyun with a height of nearly 80 meters and a fist as high as a medium-sized ship came in front of Kaido. Faced with the fist that was smashed over, Kaido was stunned in the spot and excitedly muttered to himself, Make the appearance, Titan Beast King Kong form. Boom! Kaido flew backwards with his face deformed and stopped after breaking many trees. Chapter 80. Kaido's Bizarre Adventure. Osasosos. It hurts. Kaido cried with tears streaming down his face, but his tone was very excited. After crying, Kaido commented viciously, What a strong, powerful fist. Boom! As if being mocked, King Kong beat his chest angrily and then charged again. Boom! King Kong and King Long collided heavily, and the shock waves generated by both sides directly uprooted the surrounding trees. Bang! In the battle of power, Kaido, as the loser, flew backwards and then fell heavily on the hill not far away. King Kong was not happy to see this scene, but hurriedly pursued the victory. As a Zoan fruit ability user, King Kong knows the vitality of Zoan demon fruit power better than anyone else. Not to mention that Kaido is also known as the world's strongest creature. Such a person cannot be knocked down with 1 or 2 punches. In fact, it is true. Kaido curled his lips after climbing up from the huge pit. Lousy will be serious next time. King Kong boy, don't die, okay? Kaido flew directly into the air after he finished speaking. Fire Dragon Torch. Kaido, who was transformed into a fire dragon, fell from the sky with a huge flame wrapped all over his body and crashed into King Kong on the ground like a meteor. Boom! The trees and rocks around King Kong melted instantly, and only King Kong stared at the head of the fire dragon with both hands. At this moment, King Kong was like Pangu who held up the sky in a myth. The ground under King Kong's feet kept sinking, and the pressure on his shoulders was getting greater and greater, but this terrifying pressure did not last too long. Soon Kaido was a little short of energy, and King Kong, who seized the opportunity, quickly pushed Kaido out. You destroyed this island, so be prepared to bear the wrath of the Titan beast next, King Kong said with his legs slightly bent. 8 extremes standing sky cannon. Boom! The ground under King Kong's feet cracked instantly, and Kaido's pupils shrank when he saw this scene. When he was ready to resist, King Kong had already come to him instantly. Boom! Kongo's fist was covered with a thick layer of armament hockey, and the fist that broke the sound barrier fell fiercely on Kaido's chest. Kaido, who was floating in the air, was instantly knocked away, and then turned into a meteor and disappeared into the sky. Looking at Kaido, who turned into a meteor and disappeared, Kongo curled his lips. I don't know if he is dead or not. Kaido in the air was burning all over due to the friction with the air. After flying for an unknown period of time, Kaido finally landed. Kaido, who fell heavily in the jungle, was full of fear on his face. He could clearly feel his physical condition at the moment. Kaido, whose chest was sunken, knew that the Titan Beast Fruit ability user had almost killed him half of his life with one blow. At least 4 ribs were broken, and the blood vessels in the whole body were also ruptured by the terrifying shock force. The scratches on the surface of the body were the lightest. Kaido smiled bitterly and muttered to himself. Looking at the dense jungle around him, Kaido said to himself thankfully, but the only thing to be thankful for is that Lousy didn't fall into the sea. If he accidentally fell into the sea, he would probably be in danger in his current state. But what kind of place is this? Kaido cursed while panting. At this moment, Kaido's observation color suddenly detected that something was approaching. In the dense jungle, a pair of wild beast pupils stared at Kaido. After seeing the animal's eyes, Kaido breathed a sigh of relief. It's a lion. But after the strange lion came out, he realized that he might be too happy too early. Standing in front of him was a creature he had never seen before. It looked like a lion, but the lion's skin had some light blue lines. Just when Kaido was curious about what kind of lion this was, the lion in front of him suddenly transformed into a beautiful woman holding a spear who looked wild and beautiful. Demon fruit power? And it's Zoan. Kaido looked at the wild beauty in front of him in surprise. Kaido didn't expect that his luck would be so good that he could meet a Zoan demon fruit power in this ghost place. Nedley grabbed the spear and asked, I smell the breath of the same kind on you. Are you also a Zoan demon fruit power? Kaido was relieved to see that Nedley didn't recognize him. After all, he was seriously injured now. If an enemy came at this time, it would be a lot of fun. Kaido could die in a blazing battle, but he must not die in this remote jungle. Kaido grinned. Yes, Lousy is the user of the blue dragon fruit. Nedley nodded. Then why are you so ugly? Kaido, to be honest, he has been in the sea for so many years. He has seen people scold him for being cruel, and he has also seen people praise him for his strength, but no one has ever said that he is ugly. Let's be honest, although everyone in the 4 emperors is not very good looking now, who didn't have a young time. When she was young, the ant was called the most beautiful woman in Rock's Pirate, and he was even called the most handsome man. Kaido thought so himself. Kaido said seriously, foolish and simple woman, I tell you, strength is the root of everything. Appearance is not important at all, but you don't have any strength? You were beaten so badly, ugly, and without strength. You are really miserable. Nadeli sighed with some pity. Duo, guy he hadn't seen such eyes for many years, especially Nidalee actually looked at him with such eyes. But it seems that you are seriously injured. Let me help you. After Nidalee finished speaking, he gently waved his right hand. Wild and surging, Kaido felt a strong vitality suddenly surge in his body, and then quickly repaired the injured chest. In less than a minute, Kaido found that his injuries had healed. Kaido looked at Nidalee with burning eyes. Demon fruit power? Kaido asked curiously. How old are you this year? Nidalee looked at Kaido in confusion, not understanding why this poor guy suddenly asked her name. But seeing that the other party was of the same kind, Nidalee still answered, 26. 26? It's the same age as my stupid son. Kaido nodded. Kaido stood up with his mace and then invited, Nidalee, do you want to be my adopted son? Carrying the name of Lousy and reveling recklessly on the sea. Ugly rejection. After Nidalee finished speaking, he returned to his animal mentality. At the last moment of entering the jungle, Nidalee reminded, this jungle is very dangerous. Don't you leave quickly. Danger? Poor child. You don't know the strength of Lousy at all. The dangerous one should be this jungle. Kaido laughed carelessly. It's time to let this jungle know who is standing at the top of the food chain. Kaido did not chase Nidalee. After the contact just now, Kaido also roughly figured out Nidalee's character. This is a woman with a character like a beast. If you want to become his adopted father, you must prove your strength with absolute strength. So Kaido would think about becoming the strongest in this jungle, and then send a new invitation to Nidalee. After all, this is the illusion demon fruit power. As a beast control, how could Kaido give up Nidalee so easily? In a village in Ixtal, while chewing on the skeleton in his hand, Rengar asked casually, Nidalee, have you figured out what the wrong sound was? After putting the spear aside, Nidalee took a bite of the barbecue on the fire and then answered casually, it was a Zoan devil fruit ability. He must have been beaten here. I helped him treat his injuries and then left him alone. Hearing this, Rengar paused for a moment and asked, people from the outside world? Nidalee, who did not realize the seriousness of the matter, nodded. It was someone from the outside world, and it seemed to be a blue dragon fruit ability user. Rengar asked in disbelief. The seal of Ixtal has been opened. Nidalee nodded. I heard from Jella that someone from the outside world broke into the sealed area, but she solved them all. I think the seal must have been opened. Oh, this is the experimental field of the saint. How dare those people outside? Rengar muttered to himself in a hoarse voice. Nidalee looked at Rengar in confusion. He emerged from the petri dish 26 years ago, but Rengar has lived in this jungle since the moment he was born. So many things were taught to her by Rengar. Nidalee has never seen the legendary saint. She only knows that the saint created it. The only mission of these miracles is to protect this jungle called Ixtal. Putting down the barbecue and grabbing the spear, Nidalee asked murderously, then should I go and kill that outsider? Rengar shook his head and comforted. No, that direction is the territory of Ixacan. They will deal with it themselves, and the beast's intuition tells me that the outsider is very strong. Okay, Nidalee put down the spear in her hand again, and then grabbed the barbecue next to her and started to eat. Seeing this scene, Rengar shook his head helplessly. Child, you are not demon fruit power. Those who eat devil fruit are not our kind. Rengar whispered in his heart. As the earliest experimental subject, Rengar is the one who knows all the truth. They have never been Zoan demon fruit power, but a new race after integrating the bloodline factors of the fantasy beast fruit power. The saints call them Vastaya, also known as half-orcs. Looking at Nidalee, who was eating voraciously, Rengar thought of the saint's prophecy. According to the saint's prophecy, Nidalee should go out to see the wider world. Thinking of this, Rengar said, I'll go out for a walk. After Rengar finished speaking, he dropped the bone in his hand and disappeared into the jungle. Kaido Wolf Fong half opened the road and rushed directly into the dense jungle. Kaido, who had been cutting through thorns all the way, came to the edge of a cliff, and in the distance stood a huge city made of white stone. Kaido exclaimed in surprise, there is a city in this damn place? A city deep in the rainforest? The ability and resources required to build such a glorious city in the dense rainforest are inestimable. Where's this damn place? Kaido, with a gloomy face, decided to go to that city to get some information and leave here directly after confirming the location. Chapter 81. Kaido. When did the mythical beast species become so worthless? Kaido jumped off the cliff with a mace in his hand, and then walked towards the city carelessly. Kaido didn't think about disguising himself. After all, with his size, it would be useless to disguise himself. What puzzled Kaido was that there were no guards in this city deep in the rainforest. No, there were indeed several guards standing at the door, but they were not guarding against people coming in and out, but against wild beasts that might suddenly break into the rainforest. Listening to the discussion of the people around him, Kaido muttered to himself, Icewoken, is that the name of this city? Huh. Kaido suddenly looked at the middle-aged man with a stone on his back, and even his hands petrified in surprise. The user of the stone fruit ability? Isn't the devil fruit in the hands of the clown? Did that guy get killed? But soon, Kaido realized that he might have thought too much, because he found another person who showed the ability of the stone fruit. No, the strength of these guys is a little bit off. They look pale and skinny, but they can actually carry such heavy marble. Kaido wiped his eyes in disbelief. He found that there was something wrong with the miners in this city. Although they were in groups, which miner could carry tons of marble? With such strength, they could almost get the title of supernova in Grand Line. But people with such strength are miners here. Kaido thought of his own mine factory. Are these people also forcibly captured to work as miners after being defeated by the owner here? Kaido, who was very confident, quickly thought of the answer he thought. Just when Kaido thought he had found the truth, a loud voice sounded behind him. You guys should not be from Ixtal, right? Hearing the voice behind him, Guy 347 turned his head curiously. He took a look. Hey, where are the people? Kiana roared in exasperation. Damn outsider. Look down. Hearing this, Kaido lowered his head and looked down. Kiana is 1.65 meters tall. As a girl, this figure is normal no matter which normal world she is in. But in the world of One Piece, this is a third-class, disabled figure. The kind of dwarf. Kaido grabbed the mace and asked, Who are you? If the other party's answer did not satisfy him, then his mace would fall without hesitation and smash the arrogant dwarf in front of him into a pulp. Kiana did not answer, but circled Kaido with interest, and then asked, You should be the famous new world for emperors outside? Seeing that someone finally recognized him, Kaido immediately showed an excited smile on his face. Kaido urged impatiently, It seems that you know Lousy. In that case, then tell Lousy what this hell place is. This is Ixakin in Ixtal. I guess you haven't heard of the name of this place, but you should have heard of Alabasta? This is the easternmost part of Alabasta, Kiana explained. Kiana, who is also a battle maniac, excitedly issued a battle invitation. I heard that even outside, you are a strong man standing at the top of the sea. Come on, come out with me and fight. Kaido looked at Kiana in front of him jokingly. Kaido nodded. If you are not afraid of death, Lousy can satisfy you. Although he was injured, Kaido didn't think that Kiana in front of him could be his opponent. In this world, the strength of many people can be seen from their appearance alone, such as body shape and a person's eyes. Kiana is full of adolescent restlessness and looks arrogant, but such people often have no strength. The reason for such a personality is purely because they have never been surrounded by society. Under the leadership of Kiana, Kaido came to a battle site. During the process, Kaido also found that the girl in front of him had a high status in Ixuokan, and even the soldiers passing by respected this girl very much. Come on, launch the attack. You only have one chance to attack. Kaido urged confidently. Kiana hates your confidence. Kiana didn't like Kaido's attitude because this guy's personality was similar to hers. This might be the principle of like attracts like. People with arrogant personalities certainly don't like others to be arrogant, just like Kiana at this moment. Elemental Fury. Kiana gently tapped the ground with the Ixtal blade in her hand, and Kiana, who had transformed into a rock attribute, was instantly covered by a layer of rock. This ability again? Kaido frowned. He found this place really weird. It seemed that everyone had Logia demon fruit power. You know, Logia devil fruit is much more precious than Zoan and Paramecia. It's hard to get two of these things, let alone a large number of them. Bang! The Ixtal blade collided with the mace. Feeling the vibration from the mace, Kaido's face instantly darkened. and his hand was a little numb. This means that the strength of the woman in front of him may be stronger than he imagined. Not bad. Kiana looked excitedly at Kaido, who could actually block her attack. There are almost no people in the whole of Ixuokan who can fight him. Even in the whole of Exudal, the number of people who can fight him can be counted on one hand. There is another Kaido today. How can Yana not be excited? Come again, Kiana said excitedly. Fanyuan shaping order. Kiana collects the elemental power around her and quickly strengthens herself. Let you see what is the courage of heaven. Kiana jumped high, and the whole person was like a sharp sword piercing Kaido. Kaido was so strong that he could only raise the mace to resist again. Boom! This time Kaido actually flew backwards. What incredible power! Such a thin body actually contains such a powerful force. Kaido got up from the ground in surprise. Then let's taste Lao Zi's attack. Thunder, 8 trigrams. Lightning wrapped around the mace. Kaido swung it at a very fast speed. Zang! A crisp metal collision sound rang out. This time, neither side retreated, but the strong impact force generated lifted the bricks around. Ahem! After the fight, Kaido spit out blood and pain. It was not that he couldn't beat Kiana, but that his injury, which had not healed, relapsed. You're actually injured? Kiana pouted with some disdain. Since you're injured, it's not fair to defeat you now. Let's end today's game here. Kaido's face darkened when he heard it, but he didn't say anything stubborn. After all, his physical condition in the moment is indeed a bit bad. Although his recovery power is exhausted, it is impossible for him to fully recover in less than half a day. And through the brief fight just now, Kaido also found that the strength of the short woman in front of him is not weaker than Linlin at all. Wiping the blood stains from the corners of his mouth, Kaido sincerely admired. Grand Line actually has a strong man like you, and I didn't even know it. This time is really crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Speaking of this, Kaido thought of the King Kong on Skull Island again. King Kong's strength is slightly stronger than his, but the real horror of King Kong is that brute force. In terms of strength alone, King Kong is the strongest person he has ever seen. Even Garp can't compare to this. As for Kiana in front of him, Kiana's physical fitness and strength are actually not high, but the opponent has strangely mastered the means of elemental strengthening. In this case, Kiana's physical fitness and strength will rise to a level similar to his. Moreover, Kiana's attack strength is very high, especially after being strengthened. With the mentality of asking questions when in doubt, Kaido asked straightforwardly, "Hey, what was that method you just used?" It's similar to the ability of Logia Devil Fruit. Kiana explained, "This is the elemental formula left by the saint, which can allow us to master the power of the earth element." Kaido, who seemed to have caught a business opportunity, asked curiously, "Tell me in detail." That is, we can use the elemental formula to master the power similar to the earth, such as rocks, trees, streams, and even magma. Kaido, are you talking about the earth fruit? Kaido was completely numb. He felt that Kiana was fooling him. How could a devil fruit and a Logia one involve so many natural elements? Rocks. What do you think of people who have eaten the stone fruit? Rivers? Devil fruit can control water? What kind of outrageous setting is this? You can't control water just because there is water on the ground? Logia is not paramecia. The most outrageous thing is magma. As we all know, the one who ate lava fruit was a Kainu, one of the 3 marine admirals, and that was a superior fruit, which has proved to be one of the strongest Logia devil fruits without superior fruits. Kaido, who felt that he was fooled, complained with an unhappy face. Can it also control sand and soil? How do you know? Kiana looked at Kaido in surprise, and then said, "The saint did leave a natural park that controls sand and soil." Kaido's mouth twitched slightly. "Blow. You keep blowing. What is the elemental formula you are talking about?" Kaido asked curiously. Kiana said, "The elemental formula is the elemental formula. I can't tell you the specific details. After all, the elemental formula can only be practiced by people from Swokonduro, but you, an outsider, can actually come in. It seems that the seal of Zoodle has been lifted, so Kaido, You seem to be the leader of a force. Do you want to cooperate? Zhou issued a cooperation invitation. This turn was quite sudden, but Kaido did not refuse, but looked at Kiana curiously. Kaido asked curiously, "How to cooperate?" Kiana said, "I can provide you with food and even building materials, and you provide me with sea stone." Kaido looked at Kiana with some surprise and asked, "Are you sure you can provide us with food?" Although he didn't care about the lives of those people and slaves, there was one thing that could not be denied, that is, only enough food could feed more miners. City Wanakuni is now considered. There are very few places on that land where food can be grown, coupled with industrial pollution. Both the Kingdom of Germany and the Ghost Island are indeed short of food, Kiana said confidently and arrogantly. Of course, we who have mastered the power of nature can crowdfund food anywhere, and it is definitely a good harvest. It is no exaggeration to say that although all members of Iswoken cannot be said to be druids, it is not wrong to say that half of them are planting masters. The reason why Ixuokan is a paradise is not because of its good resources or climate, but because the elemental formula allows them to transform the environment of any place at will. Kaido's eyes flashed with a gleam of light, and then he laughed and said, "Okay. I will send someone to contact you when the time comes." He was also very interested in the elemental formula of Ixuokan. Naturally, the popularization of sexual ability users, although he is a complete Zung control, does not mean that he can resist the temptation of the elemental formula. Kiana naturally guessed what Kaido was thinking, but he didn't care. After all, compared to this risk, Sea Stone is obviously more important, and the elemental axiom has always been in the hands of the elders of Yuntao. Unless Kaido has the ability to obtain the elemental axiom from them, even if he learns the elemental formula, it will be useless. In this way, the two people with their own ulterior motives negotiated very satisfactorily. Kaido, who was received by Guyana with the highest standard of reception, left Exudal with a happy face. Kaido did not stay here for long, because through the banquet just now, Kaido also knew that there were no less than 5 strong people who could rival him in this ghost place. After hearing this, Kaido had no intention of staying in Ixtal. If he hadn't been injured, he would have been happy to fight with those strong men here. But the problem was that he was now injured. Kaido, who just wanted to go home and lick his wounds, walked very directly. In order not to attract the attention of those strong men, Kaido even flew to an altitude of 10,000 meters. The purpose was to avoid the prying of those strong men in Xiai. Kiana said that the strong men in this ghost place were very exclusive. What if they beat him up? Although he shouted that he wanted to commit suicide all day long, he said that only when he knew he couldn't die. 0.2 committing suicide here, but really dying. This guy is really a coward. I originally wanted him to make some noise here. Kiana curled her lips as she watched Kaido leave. I wouldn't have said this if I had known, but it's good that Kaido can go back safely. After all, Sea Stone is more important. The air at an altitude of 10,000 meters is very thin, but for safety, Kaido still endured it. After flying for almost a day, Kaido was just about to find a place to stop and rest when he suddenly heard a burst of explosions. Who is it? How dare you break into the territory of the Kingdom of the Sky? Thunder. Boom. Suddenly, thunder appeared, and Kaido, who was completely unprepared, was hit instantly. Kaido, whose whole body was charred by electricity, fell heavily on an island, but it was an island on the White Sea. Kaido climbed up from the ground and roared angrily, "Damn it! Which BD is attacking me?" Loki, who had transformed into a spirit beast, fell in front of Kaido. Zoan fantasy beast species? Kaido looked at the woman with wings in surprise. When did his luck get so good? Ever since he went to Skull Island, he encountered some wonderful things one after another. Fantasy beast users are so rare, and he can see 2 in just 2 days. Is Skull Island the place where Lousy transfers his fortune? Kaido thought excitedly. Kaido. Loki frowned after seeing Kaido's appearance, and then asked directly, "Why did you come to our Sky Island?" Kaido asked excitedly, "Do you know me?" Since the other party knows him, he must have heard of his reputation. Does that mean that he will gain another fantasy beast subordinate? Chapter 82. Kaido suffers a series of setbacks. Have you heard my story? Kaido looked at Laki with burning eyes. Laki replied inexplicably, "No, but your face is full of stories. I don't care who you are. You dare to sneak attack Lousy, then prepare to pay a price." Kaido instantly became ferocious. Kaido's idea is very simple. No matter what, beat this woman to tears first. After all, only by establishing your own authority can you make others surrender. As for respecting the wise, don't be funny. This is the world of pirates. Thunder 8 trigrams. Kaido started with a Thunder 8 trigrams. Arm hammer. Laki's right hand turned into a spirit beast, and the two sides collided again. Boom. This time, neither side gained an advantage. But Kaido was stunned. Me, the Sea King of New World, the great pirate standing at the top of the world. I'm not invincible, but I can count the number of people who can fight me head-on on one hand. But embarrassing? But why? Kaido stared at the white sea in the distance with lifeless eyes. Going to Skull Island, he was beaten by King Kong, and then fell into a strange jungle and tied with a female dwarf. After finally leaving the jungle, he was beaten by a woman in the sky. What the hell is wrong with this world? No, Lousy doesn't believe it. Kaido's eyes turned red, and he roared angrily. The third world, inducing Naraku. Kaido jumped high into the air, rotated the iron rod, wrapped Conqueror's haki around the iron rod, and attacked downwards. 20 Laki's face changed when he saw this, and then he quickly changed his form. Transformed into a yellow spirit beast, Laki shouted, "Hold on." Boom! Laki flew backwards like a cannonball, and after breaking many trees and stones, Laki climbed up from the ground with difficulty. Ahem! After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Laki looked at Kaido, who was like a god or a demon with an ugly face. Is this the strength of the Sea King? Laki whispered in his heart. Strong. Really too strong. Laki couldn't help thinking in his heart. This is almost touching the ceiling of the admiral level, right? What do you think? Woman, do you want to submit to me? Kaido asked proudly. Dream on. Are you worthy? Laki wiped the blood stains from the corner of his mouth. Kaido was indeed very strong, but only strong. Kaido's strength did not break through to above admiral. Such strength was only slightly stronger. In that case, don't blame Lousy for being too cruel. Kaido saw that Laki was unwilling to surrender and even dared to despise himself, and he was instantly unhappy. Thundering 8 trigrams. Destruction Death Ray. Laki quickly fought back. Kaido directly dispersed the Destruction Death Ray, and just before the mace was about to fall on Laki, the originally clear sky suddenly became cloudy. Boom! As if endless thunder was brewing in the dark clouds. A red sword gently blocked Kaido. It was this sword that successfully blocked Kaido's thundering 8 trigrams, and it even looked unusually easy. Another woman with wings? Kaido frowned at the blonde angel in front of him after his attack was blocked. Kaido asked with an unhappy face, "Who are you? You ran to my territory and injured my men, and you asked me who I am?" Yin asked jokingly while looking at Kaido. "So you're our boss?" Kaido accused Laki and asked. Yin nodded. "That's even better. When I kill you, this woman should surrender." Kaido showed a hideous smile. Diamond Disphorus. Kaido swung the iron rod and swung out a column of rod energy. Yin just chuckled after seeing this scene, and his left hand without the sword lightly and impatiently slapped the column of rod energy. Then, the column of rod energy was slapped away. Kaido was numb again when he saw this scene. Kaido didn't dare to look at this scene confidently. This woman didn't even use haki, and directly used her flesh and blood to open her attack. "Give it back to you." Yin slapped Kaido with the back of the sword. For some special reason, Yin was obviously not prepared to kill the big man in front of him. As the strongest creature, Kaido has always adhered to the principle of head-on confrontation, and he raised the mace without hesitation. Bang! Without any hesitation, Kaido flew backwards with a crushing force. The moment the two sides came into contact, Kaido realized that things were not going well, because the huge force of the sword was really too terrifying. Kaido couldn't believe that Yan's slender body actually hid such a terrifying power. Kaido's blood vessels burst again, and he was covered in blood. He said unwillingly, "How is it possible?" Roaring Thunder 8 trigrams. Roaring Thunder 8 trigrams is to wrap Conqueror's haki around the iron rod, hold it with both hands, and hit the opponent at a very fast speed. It is an enhanced skill of Thunder 8 trigrams. Weak. It's really too weak. Yin stretched out a white jade finger and gently pressed it in front of Roaring Thunder 8 trigrams. At this moment, Yin was like an adult playing with a child. Kaido also realized his embarrassing situation. After finding that he could no longer move forward, Kaido's face changed from anger at the beginning to confusion and then fear. Kaido couldn't remember how long it had been since he encountered such an enemy that made him feel powerless. The last time he met such a person was when he was a teenager. He met Captain Rocks. Bang! Yan's head exploded in Kaido, and the mace in his hand flew out. Yin comforted, "Kaido, you have tried your best. The gap between us is the gap between races. It is like the gap between heaven and earth." Damn it! Kaido gritted his teeth and stood up with a Bluetooth stick. What happened to this world? How could such a thing exist in the world? Kaido asked with a tone full of longing. This kind of power? Is this kind of power above Admiral? Yin nodded. It's a pity that you don't have that qualification. The last person who had this qualification was a man named Rocks. Unfortunately, his pursuit of power was not strong enough, and he died under his ambition in the end. Captain Rocks. Hearing this, Kaido was relieved. "I didn't expect that there are monsters like you in the sea. We, the Sea Emperors, are really a little bit ignorant." Yin smiled without commenting. Wu Ming once said that normally it is impossible for an existence above Admiral to be born in this world, but they are an exception, because the power they practiced does not belong to this world, and in the process of practice, they are actually filling the defects of the laws of this world. So they can use this benefit to break through the limitations of this event. But of course, he couldn't tell Kaido about this. Yin chose to let Kaido go for some special reasons. Leave here, you still have your mission. If you stay here, it may ruin his plan. Kaido looked at Yin in surprise after hearing this. Kaido said in disbelief, "Are you willing to let me go?" Yin nodded and asked jokingly, "What? You don't want to leave?" "No, I'll leave now." Kaido shook his head and denied it. Kaido said stubbornly, "I will come here again. I will become stronger. Then I will wash away today's humiliation." Yin nodded contemptuously. "If you have the ability, I don't mind having a toy to kill time." Kaido. As the Emperor of the Sea, Kaido hated Yan's attitude. But as a pure power supremacist, although Kaido hated it, he didn't think it was Yan's fault. The fault was not that Yan was stronger than him, but that he was weaker than the other party. Thinking of this, Kaido endured the injury and walked away without looking back. Looking at Kaido's departing back, Yan muttered to himself, "This direction? I hope this guy won't catch up with Luffy." Luffy and his team left a day ago, leaving with a ship full of gold. But with Kaido's speed, even if Luffy and his team left a day earlier, it seems that they can still meet on the road. But one is flying in the sky and the other is swimming in the sea, so it shouldn't be possible for the two to meet, right? Thinking of this, Yin remembered another important thing. The Sky Country is not yet in the world. Thinking of this, Yin quickly used his special observation skills to warn Kaido who was leaving. From now on, your flying altitude will be limited to less than 7 kilometers. Above 7 kilometers is my territory. Kaido's pupils shrank when he heard this, but he still nodded in frustration. As the saying goes, in the sea, whoever is stronger is right. As a pirate, if you don't want to lose your life, the best way to face the orders of the strong is to cooperate with the teacher. As for the dignity of the strong is given by the weak, not by the stronger, nor by oneself. As a user of the mythical beast fruit, Loki has almost recovered and asked in confusion, "Your Majesty, why let that arrogant guy go?" Yin said meaningfully, "He is a pawn of the saint. Even if he has to leave, it should be decided by the saint." Loki nodded a little confused. West Blue. Kazan didn't expect that after waking up, he would return to his own territory. Was he saved by the mastermind? Kazan was thinking. The new Marine staff saw Kuzan finally wake up and said, "Marshal, you finally woke up. Now West Blue's role is very bad. Many things have to be decided by you." Kazan, who had a bad feeling in his heart, asked, "What happened to West Blue during the time I was unconscious?" As a new Marine staff, he quickly explained the despicable world government cut off West Blue's contact with the outside world. Now the world government and its member countries have imposed economic sanctions on the entire West Blue. And there are some world government agents who have been secretly looking for chaos, and we can't catch them all. If you can't do it hard, you can play dirty. Kazan pinched his nose with a headache. He is just a soldier, and this kind of livelihood problem is really difficult for him. Chapter 83. Forbidden knowledge that does not belong to this world. Kazan, who was in a headache, asked helplessly, "Does the family behind you have any solution for this matter?" Hearing this, Lung Li, the new Marine staff officer, looked at Kuzan with a complicated expression, and Lung Li explained with hesitation. Now the family behind the Frost Legion is not doing well. The entire West Blue business has been sniped by the world government. Since they cut off West Blue's shipping, the family behind us has been losing money every day. Hearing this, Kazan's face flashed with guilt. After all this was done by him for the new Marine. Is there no other way? What about the Saint? You shouldn't sit idly by, right? Kazan's tone was a little flustered. He could accept being beaten to death at sea, but he could never accept that the entire West Blue people were killed because of him. Lung Li explained awkwardly, "You may not believe it, but no one in the entire Frost Legion has seen the Saint. Except for the ancestors of our families, no one else can contact the Saint." "Is that so?" Kazan nodded thoughtfully, and after a moment of silence, he said, "It seems that I have to go back again." Kazan decided to go back and see Han Feng. Although the other party is in retirement, he is the only one who can contact the Saint. Now the entire West Blue is facing such a situation, and he, Kazan, cannot escape the blame. He does not want to implicate the entire West Blue because of himself, so he chooses to bow his head again. After all, if you bow your head once, you will naturally have a second time. Since he accepted the manipulation of the Saint for the sake of 200,000 Frost Legions, he has already bowed his head, and now he naturally does not mind bowing again. Lung Li also nodded after listening. Now, it is indeed only the Saint who can solve this matter. Kazan, who had just recovered, immediately left the new naval headquarters. Stepping into this familiar yard again, the scene I saw when I pushed open the door of the yard was not the familiar scene. Since today is Monday, the little kids have been sent to school, so there are only Han Feng and a white-haired old lady in the yard. Glancing at the white-haired old lady, Kazan whispered in his heart, "Is she also the old bridge keeper?" Before Kazan could speak, Han Feng said, "The solution you want is on the table, and there is no need to say anything else. It's all in the Saint's plan." Kazan listened and looked at the two letters on the table curiously. Han Feng explained, "Here are two letters, one for you, and the other for the person who will help you solve this problem." Kazan didn't say anything after hearing this. After picking up the two letters on the table, Kazan left a thank you and turned away. Kazan also saw that his ancestors seemed to enjoy his current life and was even full of hope for the future. Kazan didn't understand this mentality. After all, people were dying, and Han Feng could only live for half a year at most. What else could he hope for in the future? You can't say that death is a greater adventure, right? After leaving the yard, Zahn directly opened the letter that was given to him. To the east of Alabasta on the Grand Line, there's a rainforest called Ixtal, and deep in the rainforest, there is a country called Ixican. Ixican has food that can feed the whole world. Leave after Alabasta, follow the rising current to the kingdom of the sky, where there is gold that can buy the whole world, and these countries are all our own. The content of the letter is very simple, and it doesn't even write the solution to this incident, but only writes a few place names and introductions to those countries. But enough. The gold that can buy the whole world, the food that can feed the whole world, with these two things, West Blue can survive and even become better than before. Kazan was a little confused. Ixtal is just a small country. So do you really have food that can feed the whole world? After thinking for a moment, Kazan decided to go to Ixtal in person. Compared to gold, Zahn thinks that the most important thing now is food. Grand Line, Enel, who just joined the Straw Hat Pirates, looked at the surrounding seas leisurely. Luffy's voice suddenly came from a distance. Enel, come to the party. We don't know your dream yet. Hearing this, Enel's face flashed with helplessness, but he still ran over happily. Enel, with a look of disgust on his face, said proudly, my dream is to see the scenery above Admiral and become the ruler of the infinite continent. Luffy laughed heartily. What a great dream. My dream is to become the Pirate King. Zoro, my dream is to become the world's greatest swordsman. Nami, my dream is to draw a world map. Sanji, my dream is to find all blue Usopp. My dream is to become a brave sea warrior. Chopper, my dream is to make a panacea. After sharing their dreams, Enel could clearly feel that the gap between him and his companions had dissipated a lot. After thinking for a moment, Enel took out a worn notebook and gave it to Robin. Enel said, I found that you were quite interested in the notebook left by the saint. This is what I brought when I left the Kingdom of Sky. Robin's eyes lit up when he looked at the notebook in front of him. Notebook. Everyone was looking forward to looking at the notebook in Robin's hand. Luffy excitedly urged, Robin, translate it quickly. I can't wait to see my great-grandfather's great adventure. Now Luffy's most admired person is no longer the Pirate King, but the great-grandfather whom he has never met. Because the great-grandfather is so great. He has been to the moon and the underworld, and the Pirate King has not been to as many places as him. Robin nodded and began to translate. I have played with the earth fruit in many ways. Opening lightning. Is it about the development of devil fruit? And its Logia? Enel looked at Robin expectantly. After all, he is the only one in the Straw Hat Pirates who has the ability of Logia fruit. With my divine talent and the characteristics of devil fruit, I have realized knowledge that does not belong to this world. A kind of forbidden knowledge that should not belong to this world. I named it Element Axiom. What is the Element Axiom? It is similar to the natural breathing method we practice. Nami asked curiously, raising her hand. The people who have been practicing the natural breathing method for several days can best understand the horror of this special practice. Robin did not answer because she did not know, but this did not prevent him from continuing to translate. What is the element axiom? In scientific terms, the element axiom is equivalent to the natural law explored by scientists. Based on the element axiom, I further developed my devil fruit, which is not a taboo knowledge in the pirate world, and the Logia devil fruit ability. The original ordinary rock fruit was turned into the legendary earth fruit by me, and it can't even be said to be a single fruit. Now I can control all the elements standing on the earth at will. If it is really a devil fruit ability, then I am now at least equivalent to a person with 6 Logia devil fruits. So outrageous. Everyone was extremely surprised when the translation came to this point. It was equivalent to eating 6 devil fruits? How outrageous is this? The sudden end of Sataka made me doubt that this was the power of fate. Alabasta must not stay. But I didn't want to be too far away from Alabasta, so I thought of the small countries in the east of Alabasta. Finally, I decided to settle down in this small country temporarily and study the element axiom. As for the name of this area, let's call it Ixtal in the future. After all, this name is particularly suitable for the element axiom. Hearing this, Nami asked with some concern. There's a place called Ixtal in the east of Alabasta, and that saint has stayed there. Should we tell Wei Wei about such an important thing? Let's take a look at the content behind first. The saint has stayed there, so he must have left something very remarkable there. Sanji analyzed calmly. Everyone nodded after listening and decided to wait until the notebook was translated. The people in this desert are very pitiful. There are too many people and too few natural resources. No wonder they surrendered to Alabasta without hesitation. This area is really too poor. It can even be said that this area has no value at all. For the kingdom of Alabasta, Li Hao, this area can even be said to be a struggle. I decided to do something. As a user of the earth fruit, it is not difficult to turn the desert into a rainforest. But the question is, if I do this, will the people here be grateful? I can turn this place into a rainforest, but what if the wealthy Ixtal people want to join the world government? Wouldn't that make them enemies? Nami couldn't help but ask. Turning the desert into a rainforest, is the ability of the earth fruit so terrifying? Shouldn't the earth fruit be related to soil and rocks? Why is it related to trees? Relying on my personal prestige, I gathered all the people in this area together and decided to build an isolated city here. As for how to isolate this city, of course, it is isolated by a dangerous rainforest. As a democratic person, I deliberately collected the opinions of the local people after announcing this matter. In fact, I was overthinking. People only think about other things when they are full. When they are hungry, people often only think about one thing, that is, how to fill their stomachs. So they agreed to fill their stomachs, and no one objected. In this way, I developed farming in Ixtal. After translating, Robin added, "There is indeed a mysterious rainforest in the east of Alabasta. It is said that no one who has gone and has ever come out." Chapter 84. A slight sigh. A miracle of nature. Nami suddenly realized, is Ixtal so dangerous? No wonder Ixtal, as a rainforest in the desert, has never been targeted by any force. Alabasta is a super large island. Ixtal is located in the easternmost part and is close to the sea. Normally, that place should be the capital of Alabasta. But it is because Ixtal is too dangerous that Ixtal, the emerald in the desert, has never been coveted by anyone. Robin explained. At first, Sand Crocodile also considered putting the base there, but after sending several groups of people there and none of them came back, Sand Crocodile became obedient. After explaining the special features of Ixtal, Robin continued to translate. I decided to continue the research on Zoan Devil Fruit here, since Zoan Demon Fruit power is prone to problems when awakening. Then can I change the direction and create a new species based on the bloodline factor of Zoan Demon Fruit power? They have human intelligence and physiological characteristics, but also have the ability of Zoan Devil Fruit. Most importantly, this new race will not be cursed by the sea. Sanji complained indignantly. This guy is still conducting such dangerous research. Even after the Super Karu Corps went out of control, he still didn't give up. What does that guy think of life? As one of the beneficiaries and victims of the bloodline factor, he is the one who can empathize with this kind of thing the most among these people. Then Robin turned several pages in a row, until he turned to the last page. Robin closed the notebook depressedly. Robin explained depressedly. The following are some strange formulas. I don't understand them, and the following should be the forbidden knowledge. Just like a liberal arts student who is extremely biased in one subject cannot understand advanced mathematics, Robin also cannot understand the contents in the notebook. Enel could only sigh depressedly after hearing this. Robin, who knows Chinese characters, couldn't understand it, let alone him. Luffy, who was still a little unsatisfied, asked, "So where are we going next?" The map from Nami announced. Next is to the Water City, which is a world-famous shipyard. Luffy announced excitedly, "Is that so? Then let's start a new adventure." West Blue. Kazan, who was about to leave West Blue, was blocked by an uninvited guest. Gion. Kazan looked at Momosaji in front of him in confusion. Kazan did not take action. After all, Gion's strength was not even admiral, so it was impossible for him to arrest him. Kazan asked curiously, "Are you waiting for me here?" Gion nodded. Kazan narrowed his eyes and asked, "Is it your own idea or Marshal Sengoku's idea?" This is very important because it is very likely to involve the pattern of the entire world. Gion explained, "Marshal Sengoku asked me to come. He said that the civilians of West Blue are innocent and asked me to come and help you secretly." Marshal Sengoku asked you to come? Kazan was a little surprised. In his impression, Sengoku's personality has always been more old-fashioned. Normally, Sengoku should want to kill him, a traitor to the Marine. So how could he help him secretly? Even if Marshal Sengoku didn't hate him, he shouldn't help him. Gion said, "Marine and New Marine are not enemies. After all, our goal is to protect those weak civilians." Kazan, who didn't buy it, sneered, "That's not necessarily true. After all, what Marine really protects is the rule of celestial dragons." Hearing this, Gion's face darkened, and then he had to tell the truth. Marshal Sengoku meant that he saw that the world government was crumbling, so he wanted to leave a way out for the Marines. Hearing this, Kazan's mouth corners slightly raised. This time he believed it. So there's still your people in the New Marine, right? And there are quite a few. Kazan asked with certainty. Gio nodded. Many of the Marines who joined the New Marines are still sending intelligence to the Marines. Kazan said, then you just come with me. I'm going to Alabasta, and maybe I can use your knowledge then. Guillaume asked, do you mean Chinese characters? Kazan nodded. Since the owner of the diary had stayed in that place, he must have made some arrangements and maybe left some work logs. Bringing Guillaume was to prevent Marine from having any conspiracy against the New Marine and to be prepared for any eventuality. What if there happened to be Chinese characters that needed Guillaume to translate? Guillaume nodded. Guillaume nodded and said, okay. Anyway, I'm on vacation now. In this way, the two who hit it off set off on the journey to Alabasta. Ixtal, east of Alabasta. Rengar, who didn't find Kaido, suddenly stopped on a big tree and sniffed his nose gently. Rengar's face suddenly changed. Sataka. No, it's not Sataka, but this breath. Rengar's eyes flickered, and then he entered the invisible state and went to the outskirts of Ixtal silently. After searching for a long time without finding anyone, Vivi wondered to herself, strange, where did Doflamingo's men go? Is the legend true? Were they eaten by this rainforest? Wei Wei said to herself in some doubt. Ixtal is a rainforest that eats people. This legend has been widely circulated in Alabasta. The dancing powder incident in Alabasta was so fierce that the people of Alabasta could hardly survive due to lack of water. But even in such a serious situation, no one dared to go to Ixtal without fear of death. Or there may be, but it is estimated that they are already dead. Ixtal, will it be related to that saint? Just as Wei Wei frowned in thought, the crisis suddenly came. Almost instinctively, Wei Wei quickly raised the queen's blade to block the sudden attack. At this time, Vivi finally saw the true appearance of the being that attacked her. It was a large cat in human form, with a lion-like sturdy body and bright green eyes, looking very sharp and fierce. Sataka. The blocked attack was roared wildly by Rengar. Wei Wei, wait, I'm not. Vivi was ready to explain, but Rengar didn't give him a chance to explain. It was another set of combos, and Wei Wei could only barely resist Rengar's fierce attack like raindrops. After being repelled again, Rengar said with melancholy, no, you are not Sataka. Seeing that the other party finally stopped going crazy, Wei Wei hurriedly asked, this, Mr. Lion Dog, is there any misunderstanding between us? Hearing this, Rengar looked at Wei Wei with sharp eyes, and then sighed. Sataka is a higher being, much stronger than you. You are indeed not that tyrant. After putting away his weapon, Rengar said to himself, it seems that the saint's plan has succeeded. Sataka fruit. That woman is really lucky. But how can she be so worthy? Rengar felt a little envious in the rainy season, but more of it was indignation. God is unfair, Sataka. The female tyrant is actually worth so much for the saint. What virtue and ability did that woman have? Feeling that there was a story behind this, Wei Wei hurriedly asked, what happened to my fruit? Nothing. I just hope that you will never let this fruit awaken in this life. Only in this way can the female tyrant sleep forever and atone for my people. Rengar gritted his teeth and said, Vivi, to be honest, Vivi actually doesn't want to awaken her fruit ability, because awakening the Zoan devil fruit ability is risky. Wei Wei is not sure if she can survive that level after replying to you. Rengar asked coldly. Descendant of Sataka, what are you doing here? Wei Wei explained, I came here to find a group of criminals. Rengar explained casually, if you're talking about those people a few days ago, they should have been used as fertilizer by Jella now, and it may be a bit difficult for you to find them. Although he and Sataka did have some personal grudges, as a rational hunter, Rengar did not involve Sataka's descendants with these grudges. You should feel lucky that the saint's seal on this rainforest has been lifted, which also means that the saint has tacitly allowed us to contact the outside world. Otherwise, even if you're Sataka's descendant, you can only spend the rest of your life in this rainforest. Rengar said in a tone of you are so lucky. Suddenly, a hoarse and charming voice came from the vines not far away. The descendant of Sataka. Rengar, do you think we should just leave her here? Maybe the master will tacitly allow us to do so. A huge vine broke out of the ground, and the budding flowers slowly opened, and a charming woman walked out of the flower. The author Rengar frowned and scolded. Jera, our grudges should not involve the younger generation, not to mention that he may be one of the concubine's arrangements. Jera smiled helplessly and then introduced herself to Wei Wei. Little girl, my name is Jera of Vastaya. Wei Wei quickly replied politely. Hello, my name is Nefert D. Vivi. What a lovely little girl. You are much more pleasing to the eye than Sataka. It is too high for you to have Sataka fruit. Jera laughed and joked, and her words were full of attacks on Sataka, involving her ancestors and her own devil fruit ability. Wei Wei could only maintain an awkward but elegant smile. Jera invited. Let's go. Sister will take you to Ixakin for a good drink. Hearing this, Rengar's eyes lit up and said, It just so happens that Nidalee is not here, so call me too. No problem. I just brought 100 Flowers wine. Jera nodded. Hearing the name of 100 Flowers wine, Rengar became even more excited. In this way, Wei Wei, who had no idea about the situation at all, was taken to Ixakin by the two. Looking at the huge city in front of him, Wei Wei exclaimed sincerely, Oh my God, there is such a big city in the rainforest. This is simply a miracle of nature. Jera next to him corrected. No, this is a miracle created by the saints. We are just the beneficiaries of the miracle. Chapter 85. The miracle left behind by the time traveler. Is it that man again? Wei Wei whispered in her heart. After the man from outside the world came to this world, he brought too many miracles to this world. Alabastus' short-lived peak, Sataka's eternal regret, and the miracle city in the rainforest. It turns out that 300 years ago, that man left so many footprints on this land. Jira smiled and said, Let's go. You will be more surprised when you get to the city. Jira and Rengar's appearance is very curious, even in Ixakin, but they are both familiar customers of this city, so people passing by are not surprised. But Wei Wei is different. She found that there are actually many Logia fruit ability users in this city, and there are so many that it's ridiculous. What's going on in this city? Why are there so many Logia fruit ability users? Wei Wei couldn't help but ask. There is no way. It is too incredible, even unbelievable. Rengar explained in a low voice. That is not a fruit ability user, but an ordinary Ixakin human who has learned taboo knowledge. More than 200 years ago, the great saint discovered the element axiom and created the current element formula on this basis. As long as you learn the element formula and inherit the element axiom, even ordinary people can control the power of elements, such as streams, soil, rocks, and even trees. Wei Wei sincerely admired. I didn't expect that the saint's research on Logia fruit is even more profound than Zoan. Hearing this, Rengar smiled. You underestimate our saints. We Ixtal people generally use 4 words to describe saints. Which 4 words? Wei Wei asked curiously. Jira, all-knowing and all-powerful. Wei Wei, all-knowing and all-powerful. Isn't that God? Rengar said, even the dragon pig can be called the descendants of God, and it is already modest for a saint to be called God. Hit! During the conversation, everyone came to a tavern. After everyone sat down at the bar, Jira waved her hand gently, and a vine rose from the ground, and at the end of the vine was a budding flower. The flowers slowly bloomed, and inside was a pink bottle filled with Ishu wine. Is this Baiwal wine? The moment Jira took out the wine, everyone in the tavern was attracted, but they all knew Jira's strength, so they didn't dare to have any extra thoughts. Rengar spitted and said impatiently, I haven't drunk Baiwal wine for almost 30 years. Jira, how can you not call me when you have 100 Flowers wine? A loud voice came from a distance, and Kiana broke in through the window. After rolling on the ground, Kiana sat next to Vivi instantly. Such a smooth rolling to grab a seat has obviously been practiced countless times in this tavern. Looking at the girl in front of her, who has a loud personality and is impatient, Vivi frowned. This woman is a bit impolite. She came to drink a drink, and actually took down the window of the tavern. Of course I can't do without you. After all, you're famous for your sharp nose. If I want to hide it from you, I will drink outside. Jera chuckled and joked. Kiana nodded in satisfaction, accepting Jera's explanation. At this time, Kiana finally noticed Vivi next to her. Kiana asked curiously, "Who is this woman?" As the queen of Ixakin, Kiana dared not say that she knew everyone in Ixtal, but she definitely knew people who were qualified to sit at the same table with Jera and others. Kiana could be sure that Ixtal had never had someone like Vivi before. After thinking about the release of the Seal of Ixtal, Kiana also roughly guessed that Vivi might come from the outside world. Jera introduced as if she was watching a show and didn't mind the trouble. This girl is called Nephite D. Vivi. Nephite D. Nephite. Kiana looked at Vivi with sudden realization. In other words, you, woman, are from the royal family of Alabasta? After hearing this, Vivi smiled and introduced herself. I'm the queen of Alabasta, and I am very happy.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.